feel absolutely sick. I feel so sick after this game. I'm trying to calm down. I'm not trying to bring negative energy into this. I feel very, very proud of my team for playing the way that they played. I'm going to give you three reasons why I feel absolutely sick. Actually, I'm going to give you four. Reason number one, I feel sick is because the Toronto Raptors outplayed this team so handily tonight, and the referees kept them in the game. It was obvious from the jump. Every time a Toronto Raptor breathed on a Cleveland Cavalier tonight, it was a foul. Despite this, the Toronto Raptors were up after the first, second, and third quarters. Brandon Ingram exits this game, re-aggravating his heel injury. I was thinking to myself, this doesn't sink you because Brandon Ingram hasn't really been doing very much. The Raptors go with AJ Lawson. That doesn't necessarily work out. Jamal Shed comes off the bench. Then it kind of starts to work out. Um, there's the second reason I feel sick is because Scotty Barnes is clearly hurt and very hurt. And because I know how these things go with the Toronto media, the general NBA fan base saying like, "Oh, look, you said he was a superstar, and look at him in the second half." I made it very, very public on X. If you're following us on X, if you were following along, I said before the second half even started, Scotty is going to have a really bad second half. He cannot load, he cannot plant. There's plenty of video evidence for it. We will go through it for sure. But Scotty was useless in the second half. He tried his best. He tried to set screens. He tried to make good passes. He got to the line a couple times. He could not elevate. He could not make a shot. I don't think he had a single field goal in the second half. He did not make a shot in the second half. And down the stretch, as you're looking to this guy who honestly in the first half looked like he was the second coming of Kawhi Leonard, you're looking at him to take you home, get downhill. He can't get past anyone. He can't get past James Harden, can't get past Evan Mobley, can't finish over the rim, can't do anything. So he is relying on his teammates. And unfortunately, two of the teammates that he would rely on in this situation are not on the court. Emmanuel Quickley, obviously, missing this series, and Brandon Ingram back in the locker room. Brandon Ingram finished this game with 2 points. The third reason that I feel absolutely sick is that Dennis Schroeder might have just ended our season. Now, I have no idea how quickly Scotty can recover. Unlike, previous games, there's not going to be a 3-day turnaround where Scotty can get rest and recovery. He looked so hobbled out there. I'll show you the video. He can't even sit down. He could barely walk. Every time the cameras were not on him, he was grimacing in pain. I have no idea how he finished this game. I have no idea. But credit to him for playing through pain. We've talked about this. I've talked about this with Brian before many times. Scotty has this insane pain threshold. He's willing to go through this. I'll tell you another reason I feel sick. I really feel sick for the Raptors as a team. I feel sick for this team right now because they deserve to win this game. They played hard enough to win this game. They out-toughed the Cavaliers. They outplayed the Cavaliers. They just couldn't outlast the Cavaliers. They played 5-on-8 all night long. There is maybe 2 calls that I could say questionably went in the Raptors' favor. There were about 40 calls that unquestionably went in the Cavaliers' favor. It's not fair when the NBA does this. I don't like it because it makes me feel like I'm watching WWE. And at least with the WWE, there's an open admission that it's fake. What you're doing right now is you're pandering to parity. You're pandering to everybody has an equal shot. I need Darko to get on the mic because they allowed the Raptors to get abused, and 2 Raptors got injured tonight. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. Shout outs to Jacoby Walter, Colin Murray Boyles. Shout outs to Jamal Shed. Shout outs to RJ Barrett. Shout outs to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett showed a lot of scrap and a lot of heart. There's limitations, of course, with the pull-up jump shooting and the finishing around the rim. There's a lot of respect that needs to be extended to this team. This is a team sport. Someone's got to win. Someone's got to lose. And quite frankly, the Raptors were not given a single shot in hell to win this game. But if I told you that Scotty was going to get hurt and play the way that he did in the second half and that Brandon Ingram was going to exit the game in the first half, you would have picked this team to lose by 30. And the fact that they only lost by 5, there's no participation trophies here. There's no shout outs to Jameson Battle. The players that shout outs to Mamu. Shout outs to AJ Lawson starting in the second half. This team's culture is really, if it hasn't already, it should be winning you over at this point. It really should, because this team has shown resilience, grit, toughness, wisdom, experience. If you watch this game honestly, without the bias of like, oh, that's James Harden, oh, that's Donovan Mitchell, you would think that the Raptors were the season team. You would think that the Raptors were the team that had been in the playoffs like 5, 6 years in a row. You wouldn't think that this was their first rodeo. There's a lot of hope to be taken out of this. I promise you there is. And yes, when Scotty was going right, they couldn't do anything. The first half for Scotty was some of the best basketball I have ever seen him play. The second half for Scotty is probably the worst half of playoff basketball he's played, including his rookie season. And I can only imagine what type of pain a player has to be to suffer that level of cataclysmic collapse in that second half. No, it wasn't just, oh, Brandon Ingram wasn't on the court. No, it wasn't, oh, the Cavaliers defense finally figured out Scotty Barnes. They have no answer for this man. So I'm hoping at this point that all the feelings that I'm having right now of remorse, regret, ending, and all that stuff are dashed as Mr. Wolverine. Because Scotty is, look, you might say Scotty gets nicked up a lot, but Scotty also recovers faster than just about any player. So touch wood, he is good for game 6. And if he's good for game 6, regardless of what's going on with Brandon Ingram, I give the Raptors a chance. This is a team that has no quit. This is a team that plays together. They play the right way. They play defense. And I feel that this team fed off of his unfortunately defeatist energy in the second half. I feel for him. He's a human being. He is a human being. And you know that when he sees a Sam Merrill on him, he wants to attack that matchup. But he's seeing he's seeing Evan Mobley, he's seeing Jared Allen in the paint, and he can't. He can't. So he passes off to RJ and he sets a screen and he tries to roll away and he tries to just use himself as a decoy out there. It's unfortunate. The other reason I guess I feel a little bit sick is I'm left wondering what if, right? I'm left wondering what if, because if you get through this Cavaliers team, are you really scared of the next round? Like, this doesn't just feel like, oh, the Raptors could get through a fluky Cavaliers series and then next round it's all over. They're going to get stomped. No, I mean, maybe next round Brandon Ingram feels a little healthier, Manuel quickly feels a little healthier, and you can make it all the way to the conference finals. I feel like we're being robbed of something here. And being robbed by injuries and robbed by referees is so much worse than being robbed by shooting luck and a lack of talent. So, that's the glass half empty part of this. Now, let me be optimistic for a second and just say you found out a lot about your team. And this is why you make it to the playoffs. You go to the playoffs, you can find out who your players are. And I think you found out a lot about Jacoby Walter today. I really do. I love Jacoby. I always have, ever since, I saw him in summer league and, there's just such a dog in that dude, right? There's such a work ethic in that dude. There's such a fearlessness in that dude. Colin Murray Boyles, not quite the game that, he's been having, but man, like what an incredible, incredible performance for him this playoff season. Like people are talking about him in a completely different orbit right now, like prior to the playoffs, people were like, yeah, you got a nice little player there. He might be a good defender one day, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, even from people who don't really like the Raptors, they're like, man, this guy's the next Draymond. This guy's the next Charles Barkley. Like, this is something to build with. Look, this is not the end of the road for the Raptors. This is a young team. Okay. The Pistons dominated the East this year. Now they are back in the series after winning tonight against Orlando. They're down 2-3. That's a team that got bounced in the first round last year by a contender in, the New York Knicks, and nobody called their 4-2 loss a defeat. Nobody called it a failure. People called it an inevitability. And that's what people will call this Raptors season, an inevitability, but a beautiful inevitability. I'm not conceding the season. I'm not. A lot can happen in the next 48 hours. The Raptors will have to obviously get their minds together. They'll have to figure out whether Brandon Ingram is going to give it a go, or if maybe Brandon Ingram giving it a go might just be a distraction at this point for this team because he's not really providing very much out there. I think Brandon Ingram was on some absolute bullshit in his first 11 minutes for this team today. I can say Brandon Ingram has been the biggest disappointment in the playoffs right now, apart from the fact that Emmanuel quickly hasn't really played. I think you found out a lot about RJ Barrett. I think you found out a lot about his resilience, his toughness, his willingness to guard Jared Allen has been an interesting wrinkle for the Raptors. His willingness to get out there and rebound and drive offense and just take the physicality and contact. I hope RJ is in the gym all summer working on that jump shot because he really is a jump shot away from being like a really serviceable starter if his defense can pick up at all. And again, like, what a beautiful gift to find out that you have this level of player in Scotty Barnes, right? Now, again, this feels like an end of season address, right? But the truth is, there's a reason. The reason for my somber note is that 82% of teams that win when the series is tied 2-2, obviously the series is tied 2-2 and win game five, 82% of those teams go on to win the series. So right now, despite the fact that James Harden pretty much quit on the Cavaliers midway through this game, despite the fact that I don't think that they got necessarily the performances that they were necessarily expecting from their stars, despite the fact that I don't think the Max Strus lineup adjustment was some genius stroke from Kenny Atkinson, and they were very much on the verge of losing this game before that Scotty injury. I have to say, the Raptors have shown themselves that they can compete with a team that most people picked to come out of the East this year. We're not that far away. We're not that far away. Scotty is still getting better. Brian said, dang, they gave us one. Yeah, Brian, man, I'm a little disappointed. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little bit disappointed. When you look when we go through the tape of this game, you are gonna see that Scotty Barnes was on the verge of like a fucking 35 piece and probably one of the best games of his life. Like the mastery and control with which he handled doubles and triples, given the lack of spacing around him, the way the Cavaliers have guarded this man, they've gone from guarding him like he's a cool second option to he's 2009 LeBron James in the span of 4 games because he just keeps killing them. And, you know, again, this is like, it feels bitter, right? Like I remember, going back and watching some of my dad's VHS tapes and watching Michael Jordan lose 3-0 in that first round series. And I'm just like, how much did he grow from that, right? Like, I don't think Scotty had any doubts that he could hang on this level. I don't think anyone should have had doubts that he could hang on this level. But I think Scotty has this propensity to test himself, right? Like he tests himself against Giannis. He tests himself against Luka. He tests himself defensively going out there and trying to guard Nikola Jokic. This is like Scotty's little fun house, where he's just going out there and trying to see like how, I think I can hang with Jason Tatum, but let me see if I can hang with Jason Tatum. I want to prove it to myself. And I feel like right now, if you're Scotty Barnes, you go home, you look in the mirror today, and you'd be like, bro, I don't think I could be the best player in a series. I think I'd be the best fucking player in the NBA if I, get in the lab, or grind, figure out my footwork, figure out the handle a little bit, get that midi pull up just automatic. Like the separation that he gets on these shots in the first half. I mean, again, if you're an athlete, you understand lower body injuries are complicated, and certain players it's more complicated than others. If you very very skill based shooter like a Steph Curry, you could probably adjust. Maybe if you're very very crafty like Luca, maybe you can adjust. If you Giannis, if you're Scotty, I don't think you can withstand a lower body injury and just get through it. Like you have to learn how to play with it, and you just have to adjust. And making that adjustment mid game is going to be really hard. But that all being said, like there's nothing to hang your hat on. And I think if nothing else, the pressure right now extends to Bobby Webster. If you're Bobby Webster and you just watched this young team and you could project reasonable growth from Colin Murray Boyles, I, that's a dog. He's going to work. He's going to be great, right? You can, he's going to get stronger. That's the crazy part. He's 20 years old right now. He's going to get stronger. Okay. So you got to figure out a way to quickly adapt. We'll talk a little bit, towards the tail end of this about the new draft rules that are being talked about right now. I'm not entirely sure it hurts the Raptors right now. They're out of their tanking arc right now, so this really doesn't hurt the Raptors. This might have hurt them in 2021, 2022, but like this doesn't hurt them right now. And I think these flattened odds are going to change the value of draft picks completely. And I think if nothing else, given where the Raptors are projected to be over the next 4 years, I think your future draft picks just became a little bit more valuable. That's how I see it. And I'm going to definitely talk about that. There is a call-in link if anyone wants to call in. If you want to talk about the Scotty injury, the BI injury, this game, etc., we'll get into the game. There's going to be an extensive film session. And trust me, a lot of this film is going to be very, very positive. And then there's going to be large swaths of the game in which you're not going to really see a lot of film from me because I was pretty much just sitting there watching the game, just feeling kind of sick, to be honest. Okay, there we are. Just sucks. Fucking sucks. 5 points. That's where we were at. 5 points. Scotty finishes the game with 11 assists. Amazing, right? Finished the game with 17 points, 11 assists on 6 for 16. He started this game out 6 for 9, so you could do the math from there. He went 0 for 7 the rest of the way, including a bunch of dare me threes. Obviously, lower body injury is going to impact your shooting form and your three-point shooting as well. 3 blocks. Every one of those blocks, with the exception of one, was prior to the injury, and 1 steal. 4 turnovers. That's become a pretty consistent thing. But when you see the leverage on some of the passes that he's creating, some of the crazy ass passes that he is taking, I have to say, like, you gotta just hand it to him. If he gets 7 assists, 7 turnovers, you just fucking live with it. I will admit though, a couple of those turnovers were just really, really bad, silly, just drop ball turnovers. He could have exited this game with 2 turnovers and no pass was compromised. So I think one of the passes was to Colin Murray Boyles, and he just wasn't expecting it, and it just kind of bounced off of him. And that's really not on Scotty, in my opinion. That's on CMB. So if I'm being honest, he had 2 silly turnovers, 1 actual turnover, and then one of those turnovers should have been on CMB. That's kind of how I feel about those turnovers. Jakob Poeltl getting progressively better in this series as he goes. I think he presented himself as a pretty good target, generally speaking. Did a pretty good job outplaying Jared Allen, outscoring Jared Allen. Jared Allen has outscored Jakob Poeltl in most of their head-to-heads. Who's saying fake injury? Fake injury. Who faked an injury? Who? Yo, can y'all stop with this BI quit on his team shit? If y'all are going down that line, there's another stream going on right now where you can get that takeoff. I don't think Brandon Ingram faked an injury. I think you're calling into question a guy's character, and I don't really appreciate it personally. I mean, this is a free country. You say what you want. Um, but you know, if you're gonna go out there and insinuate that a guy's faking an injury just because he thinks he's been terrible or whatever, I think that's calling into character. Like, that's calling into question a person's character, and I think that's a bridge too far. I mean, I try to tread carefully on pain tolerance talks, right? Like, if you out of shape and you get injured, that's on you. If you come into shape, into the season, you play as many games as Brandon Ingram did, and believe me, he wasn't like perfectly healthy the whole way through. He tried his best. I think calling a guy like a quitter, yeah, Ingram faked. Like, please stop. No, he didn't. I mean, I'm not gonna say he didn't, but you definitely don't get to say he did. Like, that's sad, bro. That's sad. I mean, he's a big part of why you got here. He's not playing well right now, but again, this reminds me of like the Scotty didn't work hard bullshit from year 2, and I didn't like it when it came down to Scotty. When you question somebody's character, like especially someone who's achieving at this level, you really need to check yourself for a second and just be like, how do I know? Okay, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Y'all keep talking. Nice bounce back game from Jacoby Walter, man. He was a complete dog tonight. Just really loved his performance. 4 steals, incredible. He's going to get better, man. He is really going to get better. His anticipation in the passing lanes is just awesome. And, 20 points tonight, finally gets those threes to drop. He took 14 threes tonight. 14. That's ultimate confidence. Of his 16 shots were from 3. They did not respect him early, and he made them pay. And he had 6 of them go down. He could have easily had 9 of them go down, and you win this game. If he has 8 of them go down, you win this game. The margins, man. The margins. Sandro Mamukelashvili with 10 points off the bench, and Jamal Shed with 18, Colin Murray with 8 and 5, and then Jamison Battle, Mr. Hero, in the 4th quarter. Almost pulled the Raptors back from the dead. Really he did his best on defense, bro. He did his best on defense. He tried his best. And obviously, they gave AJ Lawson that initial assignment to start for Brandon Ingram to keep their bench rotation in check. I don't necessarily agree with that. Pulling a guy into the starting lineup to have him start the 3rd quarter, cold, That's difficult, but I understand it from Darko's perspective that he wanted to keep his rotations, like his bench rotations. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. From the Cavalier side, no Cavalier broke 25 points. I guess that's a good thing. Dennis Schroeder comes off the bench and saves the season with 19 points, a lot of which was in the fourth quarter, going 7 for 11 from the field. Nice little revenge game for Dennis Schroeder, I guess, who didn't have necessarily the greatest exit in Toronto with a lot of Raptor fans who, I guess, listening to me, thought that Dennis Schroeder was a bit of a addition by subtraction situation. Uh, Evan Mobley goes 8 for 13, including some big, big threes down the stretch, like really huge bounce back game for him. I said it before the game, role players play better at home. Evan Mobley is the quintessential role player. No offense intended to any Cavs fans who are hate watching right now. He is a role player. He's a role player by mind. He is a role player by game, and role players play better at home. The Raptors dared him to shoot. He took some shots. He hit some shots. Shout out to Evan Mobley. Big bounce back game from him. James Harden with 23 points on 7 for 13 shooting. And the story, of course, coming into this game was James Harden's turnovers, because he's been having a lot of fucking turnovers, and he had 6 turnovers, a lot of them just unforced errors. This is definitely not the greatest James Harden game in the world, but honestly, he's been their best player in this series. Clearly, like, you can have your hate agenda against James Harden. He's changing this entire series for them. And I don't necessarily think this was a great game for him, especially, but this definitely wasn't a great game for Donovan Mitchell, man. 19 points on 7 for 17 shooting, but he made some big, big shots late, and he was huge in the fourth quarter as well. And it just felt like, you know, he just missed some easy ones. Frankly, he missed some easy ones. He took some tough ones. He missed some easy ones. Dean Wade gets ejected from the starting lineup. I did not agree with that decision at all, and he ends up being a +4, while Max Strus ended up being a net 0. So I think they did better with Dean Wade on the court, in all honesty. But the guy who really, was the big plus minus lifter was Sam Merrill, who in a lot of ways, despite the fact that he only took he took 3 shots tonight, but his gravity off the ball threatened the Raptors in a way they really reacted to him. And I think that he was the cheat code for them. Um, you know, Jalen Tyson with 9 points as well, 2 for 2. Again, their role players showed up, and you can't even say your role players didn't show up, right? You really can't do that. Like, your role players definitely did show up. Both teams' role players showed up. I just think they just had it was a game of inches. And quite frankly, NBA 12, 1, 2, 3, 96 said Scotty playing Friday. I mean, bro, you would, you're not going to keep Scotty from playing. I think it'll depend on what version of Scotty you get. Are you going to get Scotty who's limited by mobility? Because you rely on him to do so much for you defensively and offensively. His cheat sheet, or his big cheat code in this series, has been his downhill attacking and his driving. And if you can't plant and you can't load and you can't extend and you can't elevate, your driving is going to be limited against a lot of length. This is not a small front court. This is a big, big front court, and he's been able to elevate and go through them. So he is going to have to find a way. Okay. And the way is not, oh, I'm going to magically morph myself into Reggie Miller, because he's not that level of shooter. So right now, Scotty's just going to have to find a way to unlock his team, find ways to score, because if he can't score effectively against this team, you're dead in game 6. Like, you're dead. There's no path to winning this game if he's not going to score 20, 22 points. Like, you don't realize every game they've won in this series has been largely due to him. He's been the best player in every win. He's been pretty much their best or second best player in every single loss. And, tonight, he just, in that second half, man, it was tough for him. The Cavaliers, their offense clicked tonight, man. 50% from 3, 53% from the field. And despite shooting 50-50 across the board, and the fact that the Raptors missed 8 free throws, man, that kills you. 5 for 9 from RJ Barrett, 5 for 6 from Scotty Barnes, 4 for 6 for Jakob Poeltl. I mean, if you're RJ, you feel bad for him. He left nothing on the table. He played so hard. But it's those fucking free throws, man. It's those free throws. Like, this is a game of inches. You don't get to make mistakes on the road. When you're down this many bodies, you cannot make mistakes. And missing 4 free throws, and between your starters alone, you're missing 8 free throws, you lose the game by 5. This is something that makes you think. This is something that keeps you up at night. And I hope this is not something that keeps you up all summer thinking about this, because This is one of those things where you're just like, man, like we had it. Like we were right there. We beat the shit out of this team and lost the game. It's tough. It's really tough. Let's get into some film, man. There's going to be a lot of film in this game. Like I was very, very active. So, unfortunately, if you're somebody who's looking to forget this loss, I mean, we're just going to relive the whole thing all over again. Here we go. Let's start with Brandon Ingram. I'm going to say this right now. This is a bad shot for Brandon Ingram. This is transition. It's the first fucking play for the Raptors. Ingram sees Max Juice, his eyes light up, and he takes this pull up contested jump shot. You don't have it. Offensive rebounding position. Scotty Barnes hasn't even entered the play, and immediately you're coming out there calling your own number, and it's an in and out. Look, I understand you want to get going early, but there is a process of offense, and Ingram does not seem to understand that. He's just kind of doing his own thing a lot. And when you're shooting well, I can understand it a little bit. But when you're not shooting well, this shit just feels disruptive. Here, Jacoby Walter off this pass, bam. And it felt good. It felt good because the Raptors were up 6-0 to start this game. And here I said, bye, Cleveland. I was positive the Raptors going to win this game after watching the first 2 minutes of this game, man. And they did not disappoint for the rest of the half. Beautiful, beautiful pass here by RJ Barrett to find Jakob Poeltl. Easy look at the rim. And here, Scotty Barnes, pre-injury Scotty Barnes. And this is what I'm talking about. Look at the plant. Okay, so that left leg plant, and look at the extension and the elevation on that jump shot. His feet are above the knee, and it's like that's creating that gap that you need to actually make this shot. Okay. Um, Also, like, yeah. So here we go. I said, here we go. Look at this. I said, playoff Harden meet playoff Scotty. Big block on that jump shot, kind of getting into his head. Things got very, very chippy in this game multiple times between James Harden and the Raptors. First, it was, James Harden, Scotty Barnes lining up for a jump ball. Then it was, RJ Barrett, James Harden tussling over the basketball. Like James Harden really wants to smoke so badly. Here, RJ Barrett just bullying Evan Mobley. And finally, the Raptors get a call. Finally. I said Toronto is playing 8-on-5 and they're winning, right? Like here, Scotty Barnes blocking Evan Mobley. Again, like Scotty was not going to let you lose this game. Like I was just feeling it. I was just like, he has, like, look at the mastery of this dude. Like again, like when you see how the game finished, you're just like, why are you glazing? 6 for 16. But watch the early part of this game. Now, look at the Cavs defense. Like they are really, really zoned in on him. They don't want him to score. Look, that's 3 defenders. This is how, honestly, I'm gonna say this. Maybe y'all think this is over. OD. This is better than the Raptors guarded LeBron through LeBronto. Like the Raptors tried to guard LeBron like this, but they just have way better personnel than some of those Raptors teams did. And here, Scotty Barnes is going to look off. Now watch. Everybody is missing where this ball is going. Now we can see from this vantage point where this ball is going, but he is completely looking off Jakob Poeltl to give Jakob Poeltl that maximum, window. And everyone is kind of look at the lean that James Harden's one of the most manipulative passers in NBA history. He doesn't see this. He is angling towards an RJ, and boom, there's that beautiful layup. You can see Jakob Poeltl just had the easiest job tonight in terms of offensive production. And I said, is this what it feels like to have LeBron James on your team? Watch this. Watch the manipulation here. Once again. Boom. Again? Dude, it's like the same play twice. I promise you it's a different play, but like, damn. Wait a second. Was that the same play? Am I insane? That was the same play twice. I'm stupid. My bad. I was like, did he just do the same thing twice? My bad. Okay. Okay, here we go. Jacoby Walter, total dog. Total dog, man. Rips this ball away from Sam Merrill. Here, Scotty takes the ball. And once again, the triple converges. And Scotty is willing to let Jacoby get going. Boom. Zigsaw Puzzle said, a play so good, you play it twice. Absolutely. Let's do that. I'm just like, whoa. I said, Scotty to the bench, immediate 7-0 run for Cleveland. Darko has to play him over 42 to 44 minutes tonight to have a chance. Oh boy, do I regret that tweet. Okay. So sometimes Brandon Ingram just does random shit on the basketball court. And this is one of those situations where, you see what Brandon Ingram is doing and you see what the rest of the team is doing. And like, okay, they're not on the same page. Ingram once again sees this as his opportunity to post up. I kind of appreciate that he did this because it does draw a little bit of attention here from the Cavs. Everyone's kind of thinking about him. And because Scotty is not going to look off, he's not going to project this pass. He's able to find Jamal Shed streaking behind the basket, and Jamal Shed is able to go up the opposite side away from the shot block. Great play by Scotty and just using Ingram as a decoy at this point. I said, fuck these refs. Y'all cheating. For real, this is absolutely not a foul. I don't know how you call this a foul. I really don't. I really don't understand how this is a foul. Here, Jamal Shed has James Harden on his back. Harden goes over the back. If you want to call the foul there, then this is not continuation. He gets continuation on this, which is what I have a real big issue with. And if you're going to call that a foul, I need you to call some other fouls because a lot of these plays could be fouls. Okay. Once again, now here comes Scotty Barnes. Again, before the lower body injury, look at the assertiveness. He's making sure that they're going to stop him. And here you're driving into that help. And you can see Donovan Mitchell is kind of cheating over the middle to collapse and make sure to force Scotty to be a playmaker. And when I say Scotty welcomes double teams, this is exactly what I mean. Scotty is inviting this double team. He is probing this double team. And right now, Ingram is probably the last thing on his mind right now. He's thinking Jamal Shed. And I think that's really kind of where we're at with Brandon Ingram right now. Like, I mean, Sam Merrill converges here. And instead of passing to Brandon Ingram, he's going to see this opportunity for Jamal Shed as a more wide open shot. And right now, splitting the difference between those two in terms of how they're shooting, he picked the right play because Jamal Shed makes the shot. But again, this is the cheat sheet, like honestly. And this is where I think, you can say what you want about how great a player Kawhi is or DeMar is. Scotty's on a completely different level as a passer. And I think that's always going to make him a playoff riser because there isn't exactly the easiest way to stop him. Here, you see Jamison Battle on the court doing a good job defensively, sticking with Donovan Mitchell. And here, Scotty is helping a lot. Okay. Being mindful of this little, Sam Merrill, little dart to the paint, recovering quickly. Once again, Scotty just pokes at the handle a little bit, forces Merrill to pick it up. Jamison Battle chases over. And here, once again, Scotty's thinking help. Merrill breaks free. Right? Merrill breaks free. And this is why you want Donovan Mitchell making plays. You want to force Donovan Mitchell to make passes. Scotty is not going to let him make this easily to Sam Merrill. I mean, mentally he knows where Sam Merrill is. Right now, if you get this to Sam Merrill, CMB converges, probably Evan Mobley gets an open dunk. But Donovan Mitchell is thinking, let me get this to James Harden. And Jamal Shed just rips it away. And here comes Jamal Shed, passes to Scotty Barnes. And here's your poster over Donovan Mitchell. Great play defensively. Defense leads to offense. And here, talking about finding out who your young players really are, Jamison Battle does a good job of forcing Evan Mobley to turn, you measure wingspan at the draft, you measure body fat percentage, you measure height, you measure hand size, you measure a lot of these things. Do we measure heart at the pre-draft? Do we measure heart? Do we measure how tall a player plays? Because Colin Murray-Boyle plays like he's 7'7". Okay, so shout outs to CMB. That's awesome. The Raptors did a very poor job in this game of closing out quarters, and it happened 3 quarters in a row. The only quarter they actually successfully closed out was the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, they were already down 9, so it didn't make that big a difference. Here, the Raptors defense allows Donovan Mitchell to go ahead. So the Raptors do not lead after the first quarter. And unfortunately, it sucks because they led for the majority of the first quarter. In fact, if we look at the team stats, I'm pretty sure the Raptors led more of the way than the Cavaliers. Hang on, let me just check. Let me just double check on that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, The Raptors led for 58% of this game. The Cavs led for 35. They took their biggest lead with about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's really sad, but it's true. Okay. Look at how the Cleveland Cavaliers are guarding Scotty Barnes. I mean, this is really awesome shit here. Number one, he already had the primary matchup of Dean Wade, which is the ultimate sign of respect. Here, Donovan Mitchell pushes him out. Here comes James Harden. Everybody is keyed in. Here comes Donovan Mitchell sitting in that gap. Once again, nail help. Wait, why am I? Did I already show this play? Oh, I apologize. I am on the wrong window. My bad. Okay. My bad. Okay. So to start the second quarter, more of the same from Scotty Barnes, completely abusing this matchup with Thomas Bryant with a series of mid-range shots. It was 4 plays in a row where Scotty Barnes either got a mid-range shot or he got a nice little rim assist for a teammate. And it was just great to see. Here we get this pass, get the pass back. And here comes Scotty Barnes with this beautiful little pass to Jakob Poeltl. Once again, an easy finish for Jakob Poeltl. So again, like we are absolutely like seeing the best of Scotty in terms of like producing shots at the rim. And I think this is just awesome. Here, once again, I perhaps tempt fate here by saying Scotty Barnes is a superstar, debate over. This is awesome. Awesome play. Here, look at how the Cavaliers converge on him. Now look at the manipulation. Now this is really, really like awesome shit. There's a defender who is coming up on his left side. Ball is in his left hand. He is just patiently waiting for Jakob Poeltl to make this cut behind Jalen Tyson. And he's trying to time it so that he can get this ball to Jakob before Bryant can come up. And here he is able to wait for the clearance and makes the pass at that exact, like, it's a millisecond. Like the accuracy of the pass is one thing. The timing of it is another. The creation of it is a completely different level of, passing ability that I think most people don't give him credit for. Like you can make a really, a flashy read, like a no look pass or whatever. Like there's levels to passes. Then there is like the complete manipulation of an entire court where you're drawing defense and dissecting needles. And it's just like, this shit is like, it's generating like the easiest baskets you've ever seen. And it's like, this is the kind of shit that made Jason Kidd so special, you know? Now, this is ridiculous. I really think the NBA needs to clean this shit up. Here, you see this play where a missed shot ends up in Scotty Barnes' hand. He gets the offensive rebound. And look at this beautiful pass to Jamison Battle. And look at Thomas Bryant just reach over his shoulder and bear hug him. And the ref says it's clean. Fuck you, ref. Like everybody's looking at the ref. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, and the Cavaliers going to break the other way. And this is what I'm saying. Like, like the Raptors won this game. My God. Okay. As if Scotty's passing wasn't on point enough, here Scotty is going to take this closeout from Dean Wade. Again, I referenced Dean Wade. This is the matchup who has been giving Brandon Ingram nightmares. And Scotty is able to take two bumps into his shoulder or into his chest, and he's just able to put this up clean. And again, at this point, if you had told me Scotty Barnes was going to have less than 30 points in this game, I would have told you you're tripping, crazy. Okay. I said Jacoby Walter is an absolute dog. Absolutely. Like this is a guy. And here we're going to see once again, we're going to see this defense to offense transition for the Raptors. Scotty Barnes blitzes. And here you see it. James Harden throwing that wing to wing pass, and Jacoby Walter shoots the gap, bumps Max Strus. So learning from the previous mistake that he had in game 2, I believe he had this kind of a similar situation where he tried to put up a layup and it was soft. Well, this time he learned. He takes the contact, initiates contact on that, bumps Strus out of the way. And here he's so amped up, he falls over and he just gets up and screams. I was so happy for Jacoby today. I know this guy has been doing so many good things out there, and Raptor fans just like, "Why is he starting? Why is he starting? 0 for 14." No, dude. Like this is a staple of your franchise. I'm not moving him at all. Like he is staying 100%. I've been on that all year. Let's be real. I've been on that all year, but his shooting progression right now is making it like undebatable. He is starting for me next year. Like he's either starting or he's like my sixth or seventh man. Like he is upper rotation 100%. But I got to work with him this summer to make sure his ball handling gets a lot better, that he gets stronger, that his defense continues to improve, and his shooting continues to improve. Pull up jump shooting would be a huge progression from him. I think he's in great hands. Eric is a great trainer. Yeah, y'all are gonna see an improvement from him. And I mean, I'm not saying he comes Jacoby doing God's work, amazing shit. In the second quarter, things got really rough for James Harden as he opened layup, and I said James Harden is quitting on Cleveland in real time. Here, I said the Cavaliers are cheating and they're down 7. How is this a foul on Jacoby Walter? Can someone tell me that? How? What does he do? He doesn't even touch him. It's Mitchell. Oh, like a little bit of a touch on the and he just falls over and gets a call and goes to the line and shoots free throws. It's ridiculous. They were in the penalty and Jacoby picks up his third foul. The lack of respect there is just ridiculous. Um, this is what I said at halftime, just in case anyone says I'm coping after. I said Scotty is limping. I saw him limping to the halftime huddle. Ingram's been in the locker room for 20 minutes. Raptors are one half away, potentially shocking the whole world. But with less than 48 hours to recover till game 6, this feels very scary, to be honest. And immediately, I posted this, which was, oh boy, status alert, Brandon Ingram heel, won't return Wednesday. And suddenly I started to feel like the air sort of escape. This is the play that Ingram left. This was posted by Esfandiar Baraheni. I understand you don't have a favorable matchup right now. I understand you don't have the extension that you need to explode past your man, and that is a defensive player of the year standing right in front of you. So pass the fucking rock is where I'm at right now. You've drawn Evan Mobley out of the paint. You've done your job. Pass the ball. RJ Barrett, I said, RJ, Toronto needs you more than ever right now. More of this. So in the third quarter, with Scotty clearly compromised, standing in the corner, you can see him, right? You can see him at the bottom right of your screen. This is where the Raptors really were just like, okay, we're up 7. Can we muck this game up? Because points were really hard to come by when the Raptors went to RJ offense. Can we just muck this up enough that we can keep it close and maybe hit a few shots? Because at this point, I got to tell you right now, watching Scotty come out of the halftime huddle, it felt really bleak for me. I was like, there's no chance the Raptors are winning this game, and we were up like 8 at points, and I was just like, we're gonna lose this game. You can't put up enough points on the board with him hobbled. But this was the way, and here he draws a favorable matchup in Max Strus. And I don't know if the Cavaliers knew that Scotty was compromised, because they continued to guard him like he wasn't until they figured out that he was. Um, this is the play between Scotty and James Harden. Things got a little bit chippy, a whole lot of nothing. And here, both sides are kind of brushing aside. I do love that RJ always finds a way to get involved in shit. But if you want to see like who really started it, it's really James Harden, who throws that little elbow towards Scotty Barnes, and Scotty Barnes not going to take that kind of disrespect from James Harden. Never going to back down from shit. So I said, observation, Scotty isn't right. He can't plant or elevate. This is about to be a very ugly second half for him. Just a feeling. This was what I said, I want to say 2 minutes into the third quarter. So that is where we were. So after I said this, Scotty had 2 attacks on the paint where they fouled him. And you're very lucky they fouled him, because I don't think there's a prayer in hell that he's going to make either one of these shots. But that play, this is probably the best he looked after that injury. This and that block on Donovan Mitchell is probably like he's trying to push through and you can see it, but everything is just short or off, right? Like everything is just off. There's not a great deal of separation that he's getting on these finishes. Like some of the beautiful shit about what he was doing earlier in the season was like, now, okay, Can we be real? This is an all-star. This is a two-time all-star. And look at Max Strus. Bump him. No foul? What is Scott Foster doing? He's right there. And nothing, right? So here, Scotty is going to take this and he just pass it off. But he asks for a repost. And I don't necessarily agree with that repost. Like, I don't think that play was going to go anywhere. So I'm perfectly okay with this shot. I just wish it was somebody other than Jamal Shed taking the shot. I think Jamal had 10 3-pointers attended tonight. And here, James Harden just steps out of bounds. So you get a whole lot of nothing happening in that play. But that foul should have been called. Now, this I did not agree with. In this play, they do score. But look at the court positioning. You have, if, again, those are two Cavaliers on the ground. The score is 90-92, okay? And if the Raptors run, that's a 5-on-3 fast break. And Darko calls a timeout right here. And I think everyone on the team just kind of looked at Darko like, what are you doing? Like, that, to me, was a mistake. Something that's not a mistake. Said this is the way. Okay. So here Scotty gets a very favorable matchup in Sam Merrill. And he's like, okay, I am just going to take this matchup to the rim. And I'm going to try to finish. And they're going to guard me. And Evan Mobley falls asleep, loses the guy at the dunker. And this is Colin Murray-Boyle's easy baskets. You're seeing how easily Scotty is generating offense for his team at the bucket, even when he is compromised. And he's going to have to keep doing this. I said, this is a flagrant foul in case anyone wants to know. Now, once again, Scotty had limited explosion. Maybe he didn't trust his explosion right here. He doesn't get very high off the ground, but he gets high enough to block this and then takes a finger to the face as Donovan Mitchell pushes off. This is 100% a flagrant foul. We take contact to the face seriously in the NBA. This is not a natural motion. This is 100% a flip off to the face. And you brush. That's an all-star out there. You hitting an all-star in the face right now. And apparently we're supposed to look the other way. And they don't even call it. They don't even call it. Nothing. Now, this is Scotty testing himself, seeing if maybe he can put forth some fourth quarter heroics. I wonder if part of this was just mental, where he was just like sitting, with himself saying like, compromise, what do you call it? Compensation injuries are a real thing in the NBA. When you have a lower body injury, the biggest fear that you have is I'm going to compensate. If I'm leaning left, I'm compensating with my right, and I do something really irreversible and ruin my entire offseason. And I'm really wondering if part of that was, in Scotty's mind. Like, I don't know the guy. I haven't heard from him, so I have no idea. I wonder. I don't even think this is something that he would necessarily even express or explain to the media. But I'm just saying, like, me personally thinking this is my read on it. I'm thinking he's probably like, live to fight another day, or go out there and tear something, and now you're out for 3 months. So you're sitting there and you're just like, okay, can I just bully my way to the basket? And this is the type of shot that he was finishing unquestionably. And he tries to get off with that offhand. He tries to bully, and then Evan Mobley is just able to recover, and he cannot finish. And I want you to focus on his feet on this play. Look how much he gets off the ground. We're about 5 inches off the ground there. Gets that rebound. We're about 2, 3, 4 inches off the ground. Like, this is Nikola Jokic hops right now. And unlike Nikola Jokic, you can't get away with Nikola Jokic hops because you're not 290 pounds. You're not stronger than everybody to be able to do that. So that's just really, really tough. Here, I said Toronto refusing to go away. Absolutely, man. The Raptors continue to fight, even though they had no prayer in this game. They continue to fight. Jamal Shed takes this 3 over Evan Mobley, who's sagging off, and the Raptors pull it to within 2 points, and it is 6:22, and just fight. And at 111, 113, Dennis Schroeder hits a jumper over Jacoby Walter in this exact way. It was 111, 112. And then Dennis Schroeder hits a 3 to make it 115, 111. And here, No, I apologize. It was 113, 111. Dennis Schroeder hits a pull-up jump shot from mid-range, and this is the second leg of that, unfortunately. So that extends the advantage that Dennis Schroeder builds 5 points on the board in less than 30 seconds. And this one has everybody doing his ice veins, celly, and it's just like it's tough, man. Here, the Raptors down 6. We're like 20 seconds away from this game being over. And the Raptors are still trying, man. They're still trying. Evan Mobley misses some clutch free throws, and Colin Murray Boyles goes in. We got 24 seconds left in the game, and it's a 4-point game. Mobley goes to the line. He misses the free throws, et cetera, et cetera. And if you ever want to see how insanely injured Scotty is, I want to take this very slow motion of Scotty Barnes just sitting down on the bench and focus on his face. That is not the face of a guy who is okay. That is the face of a man. That's the same face I made when I put pressure on my sprained ankle. This is not theatrics. This is not acting. This is nothing. Like this is just reality. Every time you see that pain on his face and everyone's trying to kind of guard him, everyone knows what he's going through. Everybody can see it. Okay. But I think that it is really tough of him that he didn't let the Cavaliers see it. Right. He hobbled around for a little bit. He went to the back, probably, got some painkillers or some shit. And he came out and like a warrior, he just made a strong face. You don't see him like extending the limp or whatever. But yeah, it's in quiet little moments like this that you see when a guy is really hurt. And Raps 416 said, I don't know how he's going to play Friday. Well, as we learned many times with Scotty Barnes, he is Wolverine. He recovers faster than probably any athlete I've ever covered, to be honest. Like, and I don't want to tempt fate or whatever. I really hope Scotty's all right. Knock on wood here. I hope Scotty's okay. But this is a guy who recovers faster than anyone. So my grander takeaways on this game are the Raptors played like a team that you should be proud of. There's really nothing to hang your hat on right now. There's nothing to be, disappointed in. It sucks because the referees, the injuries. You don't want your season to be determined by these types of factors, because you want your season to be determined by grit, by toughness, by game plan, by execution, by adjustments, by coaching, by players, by at least big shots being made. And, again, I understand the Toronto media is the way that it is. So if I'm going to do my part, I'm going to make sure that people know that Scotty is hurt. So you don't get to do that whole like, oh, see, told you he wasn't going to show up in the fourth quarter when the team really needed him. I don't need people to do that shit. The dude is genuinely hurt, and everyone can see it. Many, many times I've heard, the clowns over at Hello and Welcome say things like Darko's making excuses for Scotty, when Scotty was hurt with his hand. Scotty doesn't fake injuries. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Scotty does not fake injuries. He's not a guy who fakes injuries. He's not a guy he never talks about those injuries until after the season's over. He went through tendonitis in year 2 for like 2 months, I want to say, like a month and a half to 2 months. He never said a word. You could see it every single game. He was limping. Every time the cameras were off of him, he was limping. It happened earlier this year as well. This is a guy who takes on a really, really big minutes load. And right now, like, Champsbrook said, hey, I'm a Cavs fan. Raptors can still win the series. Cavs not playing team basketball. Good luck, guys. Peace. Appreciate you coming through, man. Absolutely. Nathan Taylor said he's his quad. Can you see my messages, Pen? You never pin them. Yeah, sure. I don't know, Rob. I think the Toronto media has come around. Well, let us hope. Let us hope. But I've heard a lot of, Scotty Barnes isn't really injured. Darko's making excuses for him bullshit out of the Toronto media, specifically William Loom. Unfortunately, I caught that last year, the year before. I'm not really thrilled about that shit. Is Ingram out for the rest of the series? I mean, time will tell. Time will tell. I do not know. Anyways, if you're the Raptors right now, big picture, you have to look at this and just say this is a monumental success. The season has been a success regardless of what happens in game 6, game 7, the rest of the rounds. It does not matter. This is a monumental success. You have the 19th overall pick this year. You have the 50th pick. You have a bunch of young players who've shown you that they're dogs, that they're willing to build with and build around. I think this is a team that needs some rest. I think this is a team that needs some serious rest after this season. This is a team that's got valuable playoff experience right now. I mean, again, I'm saying this as if I'm conceding defeat. Look, there's really no need to concede defeat or whatever. Game 6 is going to go how it's going to go, and if the Cavaliers play around with their food, maybe the Raptors are given enough time to recover. Brandon Ingram, maybe quickly. I don't know who can come back. Maybe Scotty gets healthy by game 7, and boom, now you can push it. But the truth is, I don't expect this team to go down without a fight. So if the Cavaliers want to come into Toronto in game 6 and try to win this game in Toronto, they're going to have to bring their A game. They're not just going to walk in. The Raptors are not just going to hand it to them. And that's what I cherish about this team. I've kind of grown to really, really love this team over the last 2-3 years as they've, as Darko has placed his system, as many issues as I might have with one player or another player. Like I might have not liked Dennis as much. Maybe this year I soured a little bit on quickly. Maybe last year I had some issues with RJ's defense. Still, the overwhelming point remains that this team is awesome. This team is really fun to root for. This team plays the right way. They play for each other, and they're very young. And this is a team that's very young and that is going to grow a lot. I feel like being Masai Ujiri right now. Like we're going to grow. We're gonna get better. We're gonna develop. Uh, Erica plays. Shout outs to you. Regardless of whether we make it out of this round or not, I agree. It's been a valuable playoff experience. Proud of the team. I'm proud of the team too. I'm very proud of this team. I'm insanely proud of this team. They play the right way. They represent everything that I cherish about basketball. Honestly, they play selflessly. They play together. And I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. A team that defends is always a team that's going to get a shot in the playoffs. And this is a team that's just so far away from reaching their apex, right? Like it's a little bit like the Spurs, right? Maybe you don't have like the high upside of like a Dylan Harper plus a Wemby plus Castle plus, and you definitely don't have a single player on your team other than Scotty who's like anywhere close to the level of De'Aaron Fox right now. So maybe like it's a little unfair to compare them to the Spurs. Maybe Spurs last year, you look at the Spurs prior to the De'Aaron Fox trade. But, you look at the NBA landscape right now and you're like, how far away are we? How far away are we? If Jacoby becomes the type of player that I'm expecting, if CMB continues to grow, and, this is going to be year 2 for CMB next year, and I expect him to work and just get better. And, again, like there was a clip where I think it was Jamal Crawford, and he was explaining like Victor Wembanyama, right? And he was explaining how like Wemby learned things faster than everybody else. Like there was an expanded growth curve with Wemby because he'd be like, okay, I'll tell him one thing with his handle and his footwork, and he'd pick it up like that. Whereas other guys, it takes a week. I think the Raptors have like really good learners. Learning things quickly is a skill. It's a very, very big skill. And I think, for this team, obviously they face a lot of roster questions going into the offseason with Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, Emmanuel Quickley, so 4/5 of your starting lineup. You're going to face some very big questions about Sandro Mamukelashvili, right? Like, how much are you willing to pay him? You're going to obviously face some questions in the draft. Like, do we want to go for a more NBA ready, polished player right now? We're going to go down the road of like the best player available. Are you going to get some surprise pop somewhere from Grady? Is there going to be like a developmental curve where Grady comes out next year and just shocks everybody and he can shoot threes again? I have no idea. I really don't. But I am very confident right now that I feel very happy to be a Raptor fan. In this moment, it sucks. Like right now, you lose game 5. There is this like moment where you just want to crash out and say, what could have been? And, if we win this game, I think you win the series. And if Scotty's healthy, you definitely win this game and definitely win this series. So maybe that's just like a little bit of cope. Maybe that's something you just have to hang on to and just say, okay. And if this Cavaliers team does go on to beat us and then they go all the way to the NBA Finals, you'll have that in your mind the entire way through that you were an injury away from making it to the finals. Who knows? Again, this is not the way basketball works. Obviously, injuries are a part of it. I'm sure there's still a Warriors fan out there saying like, oh, if KD doesn't get hurt, y'all don't win a championship. Just today on the panel, we were talking about Joel Embiid's injuries and so many untimely, unfortunate injuries that have happened to him in the playoffs and what could have been, because everyone will look at Joel Embiid and say, well, he never made it to the conference finals. How is it that you could be one of the best players in the world, one of the best centers in NBA history, be in the weaker Eastern Conference, and you never make it out of the finals? You never make it to the finals. You never win a championship. You never even make it to a conference finals. And it's just like, this is why the playoffs are so finicky, right? It's so finicky. You need so many things to go your way. The Raptors haven't had good luck. Brandon Ingram, the heel issue. Apparently, it's been bothering him for a month. Maybe this is the Raptors, calling a little bit of damage control, or maybe this is legit. Like, Brandon Ingram has not looked like himself over the last, 4 or 5 games. I would like to think it's because of an injury as opposed to him just getting the yips. Emmanuel quickly plays that fucking, thing. Yeah, I mean, that's Scotty. Like, that's how I expect him to answer that question. That's why I'm answering this question the way I'm answering it, because I know that he won't. Scotty said, "It's nothing. I'll be good to go in his post game." Like, sure. I'm not cool. I mean, he knows his body, man. Like, if he gets rest and recovery, I'm sure, if there's something swollen or whatever, if he gets right, like, he'll be fine. And again, if Scotty is fine for game 6, like, I think we have a really good chance. And then hopefully he can get even more fine by the time game 7 rolls around and we can go into Philly and we win. Hopefully we win. I pray we win. I really do. I don't want the season to end, because as much as I am of the mind that, like, okay, like, this has been such a great season, and the off season is going to be awesome, and we're going to get this and that. I mean, there's a part of me wants to see this team get tested by somebody else. You know, I want to see this team go up against Orlando. I want to see this team go up against Detroit. I would love for that to happen. Speaking of Scotty Barnes, let's get to Scotty Barnes post game, since we're not going to have callers today, I guess. So let's just get to Scotty Barnes post game, and here we go.
How did it happen, and how much did it affect you in the second half?
I think I got hit on a drive going to the basket. I forgot who it was. I think it was Thomas Bryant, but obviously it had some effect. Couldn't play with that same pace that I was, trying to play with. Just had me have a little limp out there, but I was just trying to push through it, trying to win the game. But can't do nothing about it. Just gotta get some recovery, let it rest a little bit, be ready Friday.
Is this one of the challenges of the playoffs? Is that it just gets so physical, and you play in just 2 games 2 days apart, and you sort of get worn down?
No, not really. I felt great, to be honest. To start off the game, just that happened. Got hit in the eye one time. Couldn't really, my eye was bugging me a little bit, but supposed to be physical. Things happen. You can't control that, but just got to keep moving on, push through it.
You talked about the series in regards to Brandon, that even when his shots aren't falling, or even if he's not taking them, that just the gravity that he provides on the floor
For sure
helps create stuff for other guys. How much did you miss having that gravity and having him as a shot-making presence in the fourth quarter?
Obviously, we need him out there on the floor. Like I said, the way they guard him, his shot-making ability when he's out there on the floor, he makes big plays for us on the defensive end as well, trying to get him rebounds, get him blocks. We need him out there on the floor.
Okay. Scotty, you guys go into the fourth quarter up a few points. What do you think was the difference down the stretch?
Obviously, Dennis played well for them. That second half, he get him that spark, 19 points off the bench. Got to do a better job guarding him. That was the difference maker right there.
Okay. And Scotty, you guys did a pretty good job on Mobley and Harden again. Is it just it's just really hard to account for all their guys when Mobley starts hitting threes and Schroeder kind of gets going a little bit?
No, we got to do our job trying to guard those 2 guys, of course. But when other guys start doing more than they should be doing, that hurts.
How do you like your chances to be able to recover physically in a short 48 hours?
Well, I like our odds 100%. I believe in us. We believe in each other. We're gonna go home and get it done.
But I mean, just you physically, how do you think you can recover?
It ain't nothing. I'll be ready.
Vic P.
You gotta love Scotty and his resilience, and toughness. to do this. I've watched Kyle Lowry limp through the playoffs a few too many times. I do know it's real for sure, but yeah, see Darko
You
Rajakovic.
guys know he's been dealing with his heel. He re-aggravated that heel on one play. We tried to retape him, at halftime. He tried to, activate to see if he can be ready for second half, and he was not able to come and play second half. So tomorrow we'll know more when we do more evaluation.
So throughout the series, has it been something he's like managing, but that since he had that injury in the regular season?
Right. That's something that's kind of like on and off. He was doing well, and then he just re-aggravated it on that play.
Scotty had such a great start. It seemed like he was setting more screens, playing off the ball a bit on defense in the second half. Is there anything wrong with him health-wise, or?
Yes.
He got hit in his quad towards the end there in the second quarter. So we were just trying to maximize him in different areas second half.
Darko, how pleased were you with the fight and the effort that your team showed, especially being undermanned on the road?
And that's I don't take it for granted. I think it's very, very special how this group is resilient. It's easy to say, after we win the game by 4 points, we were resilient. I thought that we were a very resilient team tonight as well, even if we lost over here. But we were constantly trying to find ways, finding different lineups, finding guys that can, help us to win the game. And it came down. They shot 50% from 3-point line, made 18 threes. They had a couple of players that really stepped up for them in the second half, and it just came out short.
With that fight and being down BI with Scotty banged up, how much of it was just running out of gas in the fourth quarter, do you think?
I mean, we cannot look at it as excuse. Obviously, we were getting a little bit tired, but they were tired as well. At the end, we kept them in the fourth quarter to 25 points. I would not just blame the fourth quarter there. I think overall we got to do a better job defensively, and we cannot allow this team to score 125 points overall. I think that's like from first quarter where they scored 38, then 33, and then in the third quarter we got to do a better job there.
In the fourth there, when it's Schroeder who's giving you 11 points, 19 for the game, Mobley who's hitting 3 threes, 2 in the fourth. I mean, is that a game plan issue, or is that just them finding offense from unexpected sources?
And that's the beauty of the playoffs, because in each game somebody else steps up, and just like we had Jamison Bell to step up and make the difference in game 3. I thought that Dennis did an outstanding job in the second half. We exerting a lot of energy to guard their two primary guys, but they're a deep team. We cannot take possessions off and not guard Dennis or not guard Strus or not guard Sam Merrill. We got to find ways to continue guarding those guys there as well. Credit to them. They play well. They knock down their shots. We're going home now, and we're going to take a look at film and, prepare for game 6.
There was that incident in the fourth where it seemed like James Harden was walking toward your bench during the timeout. Did you have any insight on what happened there?
I really don't. I got to take a look at that. I just saw the scuffle. I came in there just to keep guys apart, but I got to take a look at film there and see what happened. Referees, obviously, they took a look and they did not find anything.
With only 1 day between now and game 6, I mean, what's your level of concern with the physical injuries that your team is facing?
I mean, we'll have to see where we are tomorrow. It's 48 hours until the next game. Tomorrow is going to be we have 48 hours to find physical and to find mental way. Our back is against the wall. It's, game 6. They're going to try to close this series, and we're going to do everything possible that we find, enough healthy guys to go out there and then to compete to the last second. So I'm hopeful we're going to have guys available.
You look at, what was working for you early. I think you'd scored 23 points off turnovers in the first half alone. Why was that working so well?
And I thought that we really really disruptive. Our hand activity was really good. We were able to get in the passing lanes, and we were just able to capitalize that in transition to score in transition. So first half, out of their 10 turnovers, we scored 23 points, and we ended the game with only 28. So only 5 points in the second half. That's our strength. That's how we play. And when we turned teams over, we were capable to score a lot. That was not the case in the second half. They did a better job of taking care of the ball. And, I thought that we rebounded the ball really well. We won the possession battle there. Just came down to those couple of shots that they knocked down. And to be honest with you, I thought that we also had good looks there in the fourth quarter. That shot just did not go down.
Okay, we are going to move on to our first caller and possibly our only caller, and that is Recruiter Dude. Recruiter Dude, what is up, man?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I don't like losing games that we won. That sucks. Yeah.
If you remember, I sent you a message. I think it was like the last regular season game, and I denoted that this season wasn't one of my favorite seasons. Let's just put it that way. It was.
Yep. Yeah. You said this wasn't such a fun watch for you.
Yeah, it was average. And to full disclosure, I actually I kind of cut out around around February because I was taking the wife and kids to Florida.
Sure.
And I couldn't watch the games down there. And I was watching your lives, but I think the game that kind of really sobered me in the regular season was a loss against Detroit or something. And I just kind of said to myself, okay, we're not ready. We're not ready yet. It's a young team, whatever. This postseason has not only made up for that. It's this is maybe one of my favorite postseasons since I've been watching since '95. I'm not exaggerating. This team is just so
awesome.
You can't help yourself but cheer for these guys. It's incredible.
Yeah, I got to tell you, when I watched the Raptors lose with DeMar and Kyle, it always made me sad. When they would lose, but it wouldn't ruin a day for me. I remember you saying once, I think you said that, and it always stuck with me. You said, I think I'm at a point where I need my team to do more for me than I'm doing for my team. Something like that. There was a paraphrase, thing like that. And I was like, man, I realized that sports does so much for people's, day-to-day lives, in terms of making them feel good and getting them entertained and excited and hopeful. And I understood what you said. But that being said, the emotional investment that I feel with this team is greater than any emotional investment that I have ever felt for a Raptors team.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know why. It's just something about Scotty's ascension. Just he's maybe he was saving it in part, or he's entered a new level. He's ascended to something greater than I even thought was, not that I didn't think it was possible, but that first half, Rob, he was doing Kawhi level shit.
Yeah, and you know what the best part is, Recruiter Dude? Kawhi wasn't doing Kawhi level shit at 24.
Yeah.
He didn't do it until he was at least 25, 26. That's when Kawhi really leveled up as a basketball player. I want to say 25, 24, 25, 26 is right around when Kawhi took that proverbial next step. I think we traded for Kawhi when he was 26, and then he was 27 through most of the Raptors playoff run. So again, that's Scotty 3 years from now. And the only thing that would ever stop me from, projecting forward is if I didn't believe in a guy's work ethic. And that's not a question with Scotty at all. I completely trust his work ethic. And I also think, and again, you're a little bit closer to my age, so you'll understand the wisdom that, there's certain people that respond well to success. There's certain people that respond well to failure. And then there's certain people that respond well to a blend of both. And I think that this season is so bittersweet in that the hope is all there, right? There's never been I put it this way. If you and I suddenly were adopted by this team as the, 18th and 19th man, and we got to see this entire season through every practice as players, I don't think I've ever felt more motivated to get into the gym than I do right now, right? Like, I'm just like, "Oh my god." Like, number 1, we executed on what we said we were gonna do. So that already built so much positive momentum, right? Like, we have shown that we met our goals. We said we're gonna make Brandon Ingram an all-star. We said we're gonna get Scotty, like, all defense. We said that we were gonna make the playoffs. We said that we were gonna be competitive when we get there. There is such a powerful thing when have you ever had, like, a teacher that you really believed in?
Oh yeah.
There's something so amazing when what somebody is teaching you, you can see it, like, paying off. Everything Darko has been preaching for the last 3 years, I'm sure the people on this team have bought into it to some extent, but to see it working in the playoffs, whatever story you tell yourself, about, like, how close the Raptors are right now to competing for, to get out of the East or whatever, however far you think they might be, there's real tangible evidence that this development shit is working, that this system works. Our defense translates. We have given James Harden one of the worst series of his life. We have held Donovan Mitchell at bay now for 3 straight games. We, really do have, and I think again, as for Scotty, like, you go into the lab with Brian this summer and you're thinking to yourself, you don't have to wonder anymore if you're one of them ones. You already know you're one of them ones. Now you've seen it. Like, everyone has seen it. So now the bar has raised. We don't look at your 20-point game as a good game anymore. I mean, I haven't looked at a 20-point game for Scotty as a good game in two years, but now the rest of the world is catching up to that idea. And now we're just like, no, 20 is your benchmark. That's an average game for you. It's the 30s and the 35s and these kind of like mastering all the passing angles and stuff. And I just hope that the Raptors can see that if they lessen his defensive load a little bit, he can do so much more offensively. And I hope next year they'll start trying to play him closer to 70, 75 games. I don't want him playing 81 games. I don't want him playing 80 games.
I'd be happy with like 65 games or I mean,
65 to 70 is fine. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly where he should
when
be.
he's able to then pose himself, like you could actually see like and CMB for that matter, you can see the court shrinking for the opposing ball handlers. Like they don't have anywhere really to go. And there's this channel, I forget the name of it, but I'll text it to you later. It's like this. He featured CMB. He did a whole episode on him, and his defense in games 3 and 4 were almost flawless. Like he almost didn't even make like a single mistake. I mean, he made mistakes, but you could count them on one hand over 2 games. And he played almost as perfect as you could play as a like a pivotal defensive player, and he's a rookie. It's just like stuff like I've never seen this. I've never enjoyed this in like Toronto sports in a like, generally speaking, like just if we keep it in the Raptors domain, like the Bosch era, I grew up since 1995, and Damon Stoudemire was a special player. Then we had Vince Carter, and he had some excellent teammates like Antonio Davis and Junkyard Dog, and like those were guys you wanted to root for. But when we're talking about like high level defensive IQ, like I've never seen like this type of level like at such a young age, both Scotty and CMB. It's just it's unprecedented like in my experience, and that's why I'm really excited about it.
I agree with you. I think I'm gonna bring Daryl on this call as well. I'm not trying to. Cool Poo said, "Oh my god." Anytime I see this level of caps lock utilization, I'm always a little bit worried. Mental health wise, I'm a little bit worried. We could have. Should I scream this whole thing? We could have won this game easy, but Bi choked. He could have at least stayed at court with defense, used that tall body, but he cared about scoring, only which he knew could do it. Oh God. Okay.
Nope.
I sometimes wonder if people like this were put on earth by God to test my patience, or if people like this, like, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude here, but like, I worry about your family. I worry about the people you share the road with, if this is how you think. I also worry about your keyboard, right? Like, just feels very angry. There's no need for that. Using your tall body. I don't know, man. Some people have a real slave owner mentality when it comes to basketball players. Like, use that body. Okay. Bro, the guy's hurt. Okay. Like when people talk about like Nikola Jokic being fat, like that's the kind of shit that really fries me. Like really fucking fries me. Like I would give so much money. Here's a game show idea. I would like to take a game show idea and put it into reality where Amazon Prime or whatever, like, run this out. Find 10 people who are really angry online about their favorite player or favorite team and are screaming that players are lazy or they're bad or whatever. And then put those players in a mock simulation and make them run up and down the court with actual NBA players and make them play 2 playoff minutes. For every minute you don't die after 2 minutes, you get $10,000. Let's see when you choke. Let's see when you fall off. All this,
And
like,
the
this guy needs
Raptors,
to
the
get into
Raptors made
shape.
it.
This guy needs, yeah, go ahead.
The Raptors made it for 3 quarters before they got gassed. I mean, it would take me 30 seconds, but still, like,
And I mean,
3
we are in
quarters.
reasonable shape. You and I are in
Yeah.
reasonable shape. Recruiter dude, I'm assuming you're in pretty reasonable shape. Like, we are
For a
not,
41-year-old, yeah, I'm pretty good shape.
yeah, like, I mean, I can run on a treadmill on incline for about 20 minutes, like 7.5 incline for about 20 minutes at about 8 speed without dying. Okay. I'm in pretty okay shape. I have the humility to know that I wouldn't last 35 seconds on a basketball court with NBA athletes at this pace, with this physicality. You just can't. So, again, I'm not saying like we're not being paid millions of dollars to play basketball, but again, when people watch this shit, like I just want them to have a little bit of humility, right? Like, you, cool, he gave up. Like, how do you know? Do you know him? Like, sorry, it's just very aggravating when people start doing this shit because it reminds me of like all the Vince Carter is soft bullshit, and Vince Carter doesn't care about basketball. And it just brings back a lot of like painful memories of that narrative and that time in basketball history. But anyways, that all being said, Daryl, what do you think of the game? And what do you think of the conversation that we were having right here about Colin Murray Boyles and Scotty Barnes and the future of the Raptors and all that stuff?
I think that when the fourth quarter started, I texted a buddy and said, "This game is done. The Raptors are going to lose this game."
Yeah.
And yeah, the same as like I saw what you saw. There was no way that they were going to be able to. They were not going to be able to overcome that mountain of having to go against Scott Foster and guys hitting shots that they normally, probably wouldn't hit. But I had a thought. Actually, the last game I was going to bring it up, but I didn't think of it for whatever. But I got to say, flowers to Jakob Poeltl. And the reason why I want to say flowers to Jakob Poeltl is because as horrendous as he was in the first 2 games, he has been slowly improving game by game in this series. And I don't want to say that he was out there creating or doing a lot of stuff that like superstar stuff. What he was doing is what he was supposed to be doing, at least on the offensive end. Defensively, I would love to get more from him defensively, but yeah.
I think his defensive.
And what I wanted to see is I wanted to see them go to Yak in the fourth when there was clearly injuries and clearly fatigue. Go with the guy who has fresher legs that was cooking in the first half. Go to him. Scotty can still pass the ball at a high level to Yak. He's still Malshed and Jakob Poeltl and Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl play a bit of a 2-man game in that fourth quarter. They would have had a chance. I don't know. I was frustrated
honestly
by that.
I am not a coach, and I've been told many times that if I ever was a coach that I would be fired within a day. But here's my genius move in the fourth quarter. When I saw where this team was going offensively, where they couldn't score for minutes on end, I am doing the craziest thing ever, and I am swinging a Hail Mary on the road, and I am bringing Grady Dick in for 2.5 minutes. And I am
Why
telling
not?
him, hey, Grady, go play for your next contract right now. This is for all the marbles, no pressure, but save our season, because there's something called there's a brilliant thing in basketball, which is upside downside, or upside or floor. And sometimes you play lineups that have a safe floor. They can muck it up, they can grind out some minutes, etc. Sometimes you just have to just think about the ceiling. You have to throw a Hail Mary out there. And this is all coaching is balancing out, you know, how risky do I want to get, and when do I have to throw in the towel? I could have told you at the middle of the third quarter, there was no chance the Raptors offensive process was going to score enough points to stop that team. Now, again, if Scotty had some extra gear in the last 5 minutes where he could just put 10 points on the board, yeah, okay. If RJ could miraculously stop shooting 58% from three, maybe. If RJ was suddenly a pull-up jump shooter like a Brandon Ingram, maybe. But you just don't have enough weapons out there. So now I'm thinking to myself, Jamison Battle is a floor element here. He can't create his own shot like Grady can. He can balance off the gravity of other people. So when somebody else is going, he's more of like a ceiling raiser, right? But right now, with the way your offense is grinding, how they're zoning up on him, he's more of a floor raiser in terms of threatening space for somebody else to create. I think I just say, okay, our defense isn't working. We're not stopping them from scoring. They're shooting 50% from the field anyway. How much worse can this get? I'm giving Grady 2 minutes, and I'm just saying, Grady, put 6 points on the board. Put 6 points on the board, get one layup, get one pull-up jump shot, get one corner three up, and let's just see what happens. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing. I might have even tried Trace Jackson Davis and just said, go get me 5 offensive rebounds in the next 5 minutes. Just go fucking muck shit up. Go hurt somebody. Fuck that. Hurt somebody. Like, you know, just go hurt somebody. I know that sounds crazy.
Hurt somebody, but...
No, like literally hurt somebody.
Hit
Clothesline
somebody. Bump somebody.
Hit somebody, hurt somebody,
Okay.
knock someone on their ass. Like send a message. Like, this team is getting way too comfortable being really physical right now. And I am just like, no, just try something, you know? Again, Jonathan Mobo, AJ Lawson, these guys are not going to put enough points on the board, you know, for you to even try it. So they can be the 5th starter. But Grady could be a hero for 2 minutes. He has that type of
I don't think
ceiling.
you lose anything putting Grady in front of Schroeder for 2 minutes. I agree 100%. Like, that's the one thing that I have to go, like, when I go to bed tonight, I have to, you know, like, meditate on Schroeder scoring like 19 points. Like that hurts. I'm not mad about this loss, but losing to Dennis Schroeder is ridiculous. But
Karen Hall saying, Rob, you don't mean that. Look, when I say hurt somebody, I don't mean injure somebody. I don't mean end someone's career. I mean hurt somebody, like literally hurt somebody, as in throw an elbow, put them on their ass if they're going to the line. Like, we're talking old school basketball. Karen Hall, like, I'm sure you watched basketball in 1992, 1995. Like, we're just talking physical, hard playoff basketball. The Raptors don't have enforcers. They're bigs. The only reason we're not talking about how soft Jakob Poeltl is because on the other end you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Okay, nobody in this on this team right now is throwing their weight around like Wendell Carter is for Orlando.
Yep. I wanted to say CMB could have done a lot more of that today.
Yeah, exactly. But CMB is like one of your young stars. That's why we have enforcers. That's why you have. Hey, Scotty was taken out of this game by Thomas Bryant. Let's just be real about that.
I know
that dude is a fucking audible. Okay, so he can come out and he can hurt one of our players, and basically he swings this entire series with that one thing. Because I'm telling you right now, the way Scotty was going, he was going to win you this game. You know, so, and he didn't do it on purpose. Fine, you know, I'm not saying there's intentionality behind it, but I'm just saying, like, a hard foul is a hard foul. Like, make them think before they drive. Like, I want Donovan Mitchell to think that he's going to get hit every time he drives. There's a balance between being dirty or being flagrant and being tough, right? I'm not letting you just screen me to death. I'm going to fight over screens. And once in a while, I'm going to elbow you. So you're going to think twice before you try your little chicken wing shit on me, right? This is just toughness. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this team is showing a lot of dog and a lot of fight because they're competing hard. What they need to introduce next is
Mhm.
physicality, like real, sincere, bruising physicality. Yeah.
I also want to say the reason why I think your Grady idea is so valid is because I was watching the Cavs coverage of Jamison Battle in the third and fourth quarter specifically. That guy was wearing Sam Merrill like a coat. Merrill was not giving him a centimeter of space. He couldn't run anywhere. He couldn't run to the corners without being covered like he was a superstar. Grady
Right.
coming in and hitting a couple of long shots forces you to think about more than just Jamison Battle. And the trickle down effect, the gravity, the space created just by having Grady out there. I mean, for whatever reason, regardless of his poor shooting numbers, people still see him as a reputational shooter. And
Yep.
Cleveland is traumatized by the Raptors shooters. All you needed was just to create a little bit more time for RJ Barrett, a little bit more space for him. You could see how gassed he was at the end. And he was trying to do everything. Grady would have
Yeah.
helped. I'm sorry, even if he was
RJ
not,
Barrett for sure. Yeah.
yeah, he would have helped. I'm just saying. It would have been
Yeah,
that's
and,
what
and I
would've
mean
done.
Grady can drive too, and there's a level of like offensive creation that you need to have to threaten how they're playing defense right now. You need to be able to
For
cut
sure.
through the middle. And I do think for all of his warts and stuff, he's still a 6'7" guy who can dribble pass shoot. Right? You don't have a lot of guys who can dribble pass shoot right now. You have guys who can dribble, you have guys who can shoot. You don't have a lot of guys who can dribble and shoot, much less
I
pass.
think he has to play. I think he has to play Friday. If
If Ingram
can't
doesn't
suit up,
play, I need to yeah. It sounds crazy, but yo, like
it's not though.
you invested a 13th overall pick in this guy. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not sitting here pretending that I am, but I am saying that if you're going to get a full overview of your roster going into next season, I want to see what this guy can do in 5 minutes of playoff minutes when it actually still matters. I don't want to see the Raptors get, blown out in game 7, down 15, down 20, and then he comes in the game. You're not getting a fair representation of what he can actually do. Maybe he's a massive playoff riser, and we will never know it because he's never given an opportunity. And again, I think
Yeah, that's a
this is
great point.
consequential. He is consequential enough to your roster building plans going forward, and he is valuable enough as an archetype that this is bigger than trying to see if Ochai Abaji would work. You know what I mean? Like there's still
Of course.
upside here. He's 21 years old. 21, 22, whatever he is. 21, 22 years old. I mean, shit. Like, unless the Raptors, like, internally have already just made up their minds, just like, fuck this guy. He's never going to be good enough defensively. I think he's made marginal improvements all year. I've been kind of calling for, like, the Raptors to try him out precisely for a moment like this, because you want to have this option to be able to go to him. You also don't want to destroy a guy's confidence and have him feeling like all summer that he cost the Raptors a chance to advance. So, I can understand this pressure might be like setting a guy up to fail. But
No, he needs some run. He needs some run. Every single player in the playoffs is facing the pressure. You can't let him duck pressure. No chance. He's already played himself out of a contract next year. The only thing he can do is improve his stock. Like, he can't make it worse.
I mean, he comes out, shoots 0 for 6. I'm not. I don't know if it makes it worse.
Fine, but he has to see the floor because you don't have a choice because they literally don't have the firepower. Like Ingram doesn't play, and Quickly doesn't play. Like
right.
That's going to be a tough game to watch.
I think this is where you also see the effects of why you don't want to be super thin with guard creation on the back end of your roster. Like, think about guys like Bones Highland, Cam Thomas. Think about guys like this, right? Now, I'm not suggesting that you should have gone out and gotten Cam Thomas when he was a free agent, but this is exactly the type of player you put at the very end of your bench for a situation like this where you cannot put points on the board, and a guy like that can just come in and put 15 points on the board really quickly. Is it great for team culture? No, probably not. Is he going to buy into your team culture? No. But I would like to see the Raptors take some higher upside swings than Garrett Temple, personally. Like the Raptors are very, very invested in finding a floor here. They've invested in the floor multiple times with their draft picks and some of their free agent signings, but I would like to see them make a few ceiling plays as well, right? Like y'all remember me petitioning for Ayo Dosunmu, right? But you also remember me saying like that I would take a swing at Jonathan Kuminga multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the type of upside swing we're talking about here. It's like, if it works, like if the asset is a 3,
Yeah.
I'm not really too concerned if it goes to bust, if there's a chance it can go to 8, you know? Like, I'm willing to play with some penny stocks here is what I'm saying.
Well, what did Kobe
And
White go for to the Hornets? Basically nothing, right?
yeah, I mean, Io went for 4 seconds. I think Kobe went for a few seconds and a first, maybe. Like, I mean, honestly, like if you had managed to get those 2, even if you had to absorb the shitty Patrick Williams contract and gave it up first, I think I would have gone for it. And by the way, Kevin Herter was on that team as well, and he's played meaningful minutes for Detroit. They had a whole bunch of useful players on their team, and a poo-poo platter for those players, if it offloaded Emmanuel quickly, would have been the saving grace in this series. Because right now, Kevin Herter is exactly what you need. You're praying that Grady Dick can come out on Friday and be Kevin Herter. That's really what you're praying for. And Kevin Herter is already Kevin Herter. So you don't have to pray for anything. He's already himself. You
Yeah,
know?
but we have the benefit of hindsight because I didn't know that we would be this good in the postseason so early, and like some of these people's careers. Like, I didn't know that we would be worthy of some penny stock players for this type of situation, because I didn't think that we would be good enough to make it 2-2. Personally, like,
Right. Well, I mean, whether we can make it 2-2 or not, and I mean, honestly, like I would say as high as I am on Scotty, he has surprised me a little bit too. I think the part of the playoffs. Now, I expected him to be really good in the playoffs. I said confidently, by the way, on Twitter, very much to piss off New York fans. I said he can be the best player in a series against the Knicks, and people thought I was insane. And that is a series that would feature Brandon Ingram, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, like guys who've made, major marks in this league. I didn't feel like he could be the best player in a series against the Caps. I was pretty confident that Donovan Mitchell would be the best player in this series. I've been wrong so far. He has been the best player in the series. And being the best player in a series where on the other end you have 2 all NBA level Hall of Fame guys in their prime, or above their prime, out of their prime in the case of Harden, that is such a huge thing. And again, like you want to just know who your guys are, because it makes
that's what I'm saying. Like, who could have predicted that? I couldn't have predicted that.
I mean, honestly, I would love to run victory laps and say like I've been higher on Scotty than everybody, but even I did not see him outplaying Donovan Mitchell. Sorry, I didn't. If there's somebody out there who's just like, oh, you're not a real Scotty fan. No, I'm sorry. I'm just a very big. I'm a very, very respectful of Donovan Mitchell. That's no shade. I said he could outplay Jalen Brunson, but I didn't feel like he could outplay Donovan Mitchell. And it's just like the fact that he is not only making life so difficult for James Harden, and again, like Scotty has no quit. I believe if he can walk on Friday, he'll put up a reasonable performance. Like he will not go out sad. He's not going to go out like 8 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and just dive on this. Like he'll push through. And at this point, honestly, I just want to get to the offseason without any injuries. I want to get to the offseason with a clean bill of health.
Yeah.
I want this team to, and again, I am a patient person. I'm taking a multi-year approach to this. I've been taking a multi-year approach to this for 3 years now. I'm not all in on this season. This is not like the be all end all. This is not 2019 Raptors, guys. This is not, oh my God, if we don't make it this year, Kawhi's going in free agency. No, you got Scotty for the next 5 years, bro. Relax. This is the first year of his max contract. You got 4 more years of this. You got Colin Murray Boyce for the next 3 years. You got Jacoby for the next 2 years, and you got to get an extension. So, you got a lot of these guys locked down. You even have RJ next year. You have Brandon Ingram for the next 2 years. You have Emmanuel quickly if he can come back. So I think the Raptors, because they will be a better team next year, they won't have to work as hard as they did this year to eke out wins. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping about that. How do you guys feel about the lottery reform? I'm sure you've heard of it.
I don't really know, like, what are the
You
ins and
haven't
outs of
seen
it?
it?
No.
Okay, so I'm
I've seen
actually
it.
good. You've seen it? How do you feel about it?
I don't think they're looking in the right place. They've tried lottery reforms before. We know that people will adapt, smart GMs will adapt, and they will continue to just find ways around the system. There needs to be other incentives that are not lottery based for anti-tanking. Things like hit the owners in the wallet, massive fines, or like bring in like Robert Mueller, rest in peace, Robert Mueller, but like to investigate when teams are resting their star players. Take it instead of some blanket policy that could be worked around. Attack the
Sure.
source. I don't know. To me, I think that the lottery is fine. The lottery already far from guarantees tanking teams from a top pick. But I mean, I understand. I understand the point of these lottery reforms, and some of them I think, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of a good idea. Like
Mhm.
preventing teams from drafting in the top 5, 3 years in a row or something like that. Like, but then
Sure.
again, these are kind of peripheral things. I think they need to find other ways to harshly penalize teams that are clearly tanking, rather than potentially penalizing teams that are legitimately bad.
It's really hard to strike that balance between, penalizing a team for being bad versus, what you're saying. But that being said, like, I'm not I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think this accomplishes a lot. Um, I mean, okay, so recruiter dude, this is the new reform or proposal. Okay. So basically the top 3 worst teams get 2 balls. 11, 12, 13, and 14 get 2 balls. The play-in loser, the 7-8 play-in loser gets 1 ball apiece. This expands the lottery to 16, right? Now that's interesting. 16. I'm
I
assuming
can see that, especially with expansion.
yeah, so that's exactly what it is. It's with expansion. This expands the lottery to 16. So 7-8 play-in loser gets 1 ball. Okay. So you really want to avoid being the worst, second worst, or third worst team. The issue people have with this is that in this situation, the team that is actually the worst tried not to be the worst and were penalized for it.
That's my
In
issue.
theory, now you've created a new floor in the NBA, which is 4th. However, because every single one of these is a draw, right? The difference here is you're drawing for all 14 or 16. I think that's the deal, right? You draw for all 16. So that's the big difference between right now. Whereas if you finish with the worst record right now, what's the worst pick you can get? 5th. That's still a great incentive to be horrible. But now you can finish with the worst record. You have a 5.4% chance. And you could finish with like the 12th pick or the 11th pick. There's no incentive to tank. You've removed the incentive to tank. Now we have lost the incentive to tank. So now to everybody who says, well, this really doesn't help teams that are really bad. Well, point to the team that's really bad by accident right now. Every team that's really bad is sitting stars and is bad by design. The only team that's really bad right now became bad because they sent their vets to Washington, and that is the Dallas Mavericks. They sat out Kyrie for a year, right? Sacramento wasn't trying to be bad. So maybe Sacramento was the team that is just genuinely horrible. But I mean, they definitely tried to be bad down the stretch, right? So I don't know. Like most of the teams that were bad this year were trying to be bad to get lottery picks. So I think this creates a new competitive balance where at least you're not having teams actively sitting healthy players. Because right now, you're now removing the incentive of tanking because, by the way, people don't realize this, tanking is costly. Business-wise, it's a costly move. Your fan interest goes down. And the only reason the teams have been able to sell tanking to their fan bases, look at these odds of getting one of these really awesome guys. So people delay the feeling of like team building to some future value of a top 5 pick that could blossom into something. I mean, imagine right now, what euphoria would the Raptors fans right now who are complaining about the Raptors making the playoffs, what euphoria would they feel right now if the Raptors actually had the worst record in the league and were prohibitively like the favorite to land one of those top 3-4 guys? They'd be sitting there devouring Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa and Caleb Wilson highlights and being like, oh, next year will be good. But then unfortunately that kid has to come into a situation which has not been built. at all has been trying to actively lose. There's no culture. Now you're asking a 19-year-old to restore culture, restore fan interest, restore faith, and you're probably not going to get the best out of that kid. No investment has been made to getting the right coaches. Look at what the fucking Portland Trailblazers is doing. They're going to let Tiago Splitter go because they don't want to give him a contract extension for a little bit more money because they are so cheap. We're letting owners get away with bullshit. So, I'm personally like, again, maybe I'd feel differently about this if the Raptors were genuinely a horrible team right now. Maybe. There's definitely a possibility. All my favorite teams are good teams right now. I don't give a shit about the bad teams right now. Fuck Washington. Fuck Sacramento. I don't care about these teams. So, you know what? Good for you. Fuck shit up. That's where I'm at right now.
I don't hate it. Now that I'm you put it there for me to actually look at. I don't hate it. I've always said though, like blind bids wouldn't be a terrible idea. I've said that
Blind
for years.
bids?
Blind bidding. So like you have like a separate cap, like an ancillary cap. That where teams can openly bid on draft picks. And so if you depending on that draft tier, you can allocate certain amount of money on a player and make that bid. And
Okay.
whoever wins the bid, like you could do something like that. Like that's kind of like more free market.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make it really fair. But yeah, I mean, this isn't terrible. This isn't the worst idea. Now that I'm looking at it.
It's definitely not the worst idea.
And you don't think teams will still figure out ways to game this system?
How are they gonna game it though?
Yeah, that's my question too. How do you game this system specifically? I mean, there's no incentive to game it.
It changes the playing field. It changes the playing field so that instead of, tanking for a top 5 pick, now you're tanking for
To lose in the play-in?
1 or 2 percentage points for 1 or 2 percentage points of a top 13 pick or something. Like when the whole playing field changes for everybody, then people will still find a reason to try and game the system. Like no matter what kind of convoluted solution, people have demonstrated throughout Earth's history that they will find a way to game the system. It's inevitable.
I think this is radical
to me,
enough.
it's got to be.
Yeah, there's no more incentive to be super bad, which means the teams at the very bottom have something to play, but there isn't. Like if you're so
for
right
the owners,
now,
there is financial.
Okay, let me.
If you're not going to be competitive, you might as well be a capped basement team and save money. Like there are still ways. Like you got to hit the owners. You got to say something like, if you're found guilty of tanking, then you are stuck in the second apron, whether you are a second apron team or not, which will badly restrict your ability to make moves for the next 5 years or the next 10 years, or you like your cap ceiling automatically raises $10 million. Like you have to, you're not cap ceiling, sorry, cap floor. Your cap floor automatically increases $10 million, which hits the owners right in the pocketbook. Like there's got to be ways that there are incentives that the people at the top feel like, oh, that's not worth it.
I mean, look, at this point, look at the Washington Wizards, the Indiana Pacers, and the Brooklyn Nets. These are the 3 worst teams, right? Under this new system, they would have been competing for wins down the stretch of the season to avoid being one of these teams, to increase their odds, which means they don't get to just trade away all their vets. They don't just get to shut guys out for an entire season. And honestly, in a weird way, it restores fan interest for these teams so that we're not looking at 5 months of dead basketball. There's literally something to be playing for, which is to avoid being one of those bottom 3 teams. You are penalizing teams for being bad. I think that's a positive thing. We have actually rewarded teams for being bad for about 50 years, right? So, like, you're still giving them a chance. And honestly, like, look at it this way. So, if you go to the, where the fuck are we? Here. So, if you go to this, under this system, those 3 teams that I just mentioned now have a basically 1 in 20 shot at getting one of those top 3 picks, right? or getting number one. They'll have like a 1 in 20 shot. So your odds are the same whether you're the worst team in the league or the 11th team in the league. So you're flattening those odds. You know, like radical versions of this have been floated out where you just give every single team in the lottery equal odds. But what would that do? If you think about it, what that would do is it would create what you're talking about. It would create a new gamesman where you're no longer tanking for the worst record. You're tanking to avoid being the 15th best team in the league. So you would see like teams that are just actively trying to fall out of the play-in every single year and tanking games, and that would that would be very bad. Whereas right now, those teams would be doing that for a 2.7% odd, right? Which is like what? Like that's very little. That's less than a 1 in 34 shot at a number one pick. So you're giving these teams a reason, and you're also giving them a carrot, but I don't think you're necessarily corrupting the system in any meaningful way. And I mean, in a sense, like, would I do it this way? No, I wouldn't do it this way. I think I had a better solution to this on Player's Choice when I brought up my solution to tanking. I think my solution was better. I don't hate this. The other thing about this, which is very interesting to me, is it completely changes the value of future draft picks. If this is passed, by the way, this is still a proposal. It changes the value of teams like Atlanta, Toronto, Milwaukee-ish, maybe, Portland, Golden State, teams in that sort of middle zone where, you know, a couple of injuries, couple of bad bounces, and they could fall into that like 14, 13, 12 range. So it doesn't change the calculus at all for perennial contenders like OKC, San Antonio, etc. Like, it doesn't change Denver's outlook at all. Their picks are going to remain valuable. But for teams in that 20 to 10 range of the true middle class of the NBA, now I think your future picks become more valuable. Do you see that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the lower teams picks become less valuable.
Bingo. That is important too. So right now, if you own Washington 2029, you're fucking pissed. First of all, you're already pissed because they traded for Anthony Davis, and you know they've actually hit on some of their draft picks, so their future looks a lot better. But if you look at a team like Brooklyn, if you own Brooklyn's future picks, those picks just became like almost borderline worthless right now. Right? So this to me is very interesting. Like teams like New Orleans, Brooklyn, Utah, granted. And I wonder if you look at what Indiana did, adding Ivica Zubac, what Utah did, what Washington did, if they actually gave teams a little bit of a heads up on this and just said, hey guys, your little run of just being stupidly bad and being rewarded with these generational prospects and number one pick, number two pick every single year, that shit is over. And by the way, can we be optimistic for a second? I wanna take a look for a second at that standings, okay? And I want to just imagine that in this hypothetical world, a team that actually got bounced in the play-in, like Charlotte or Miami, right? Or the Clippers. Not that I want them to get anything. Yeah, fuck the Clippers.
I think the Pacers.
That's what I was just going to bring up next. Is would you be more angry, or were you more angry when a team like Detroit was losing 20 games in a row and drafting in the top 5 for a bunch of years in a row? Or would you be more angry if the Clippers somehow get the first overall pick this offseason? I would be more angry if the Clippers got the first overall pick.
The Clippers would be a publicity nightmare because they're currently under investigation by the league, and this would be like really, really bad for business. But ignore the Clippers for a second. The Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 overall pick made me very happy last year. Number one, as a Raptor fan, I was happy to see Cooper go to the West and Dillon go to the West. That made me very happy. Whereas some people were really upset about it. I was like, yeah, I'd rather deal with VJ and Khan than Cooper and Dillon. No offense. No offense to anybody up there, but like I feel like that kind of restores a little bit of balance from the Raptors perspective. But that also being said, I'm gonna get to, provided Kyrie is healthy next year, I'm gonna see Cooper. First of all, I'm already seeing Cooper play for a good coach in Jason Kidd. So I'm seeing his career not being ruined. Number one. Number two, I get to see Dylan potentially compete for a championship right away. And that's awesome. As a fan of basketball and as a fan of Dylan Harper, I am very happy to see that. And Mitch Johnson's a great coach, and that organization is awesome. So, like I'm happy to see that. I'm a player first, always. Like it's interesting to me to be sometimes on a platform like Player's Choice where it feels like they're almost always like, even though it's called Player's Choice, they sometimes seem like they're a little bit owner first on their perspective. I am not owner first. I'd say fuck the owners, pretty much. Like I'm very, I don't know, like Che Guevara about this. I don't know if that's the right thing. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably on the wrong side of this. But like I'm very revolutionary when it comes to this. It's like, no, the players, fuck everybody, fuck the owners. No, it's the players. So from a player perspective, the last thing I want to do is have AJ DeBonsa have his career ruined by going to a bad organization like New Orleans. I don't want to see that. So when New Orleans traded that pick, I was like, good, trade it. Go to Atlanta, better team, better organization, better coaches. Boom, let's go there. I've heard enough horror stories from Brandon Ingram and his camp about some of the lack of amenities and all that shit in New Orleans. Respect to New Orleans as a city, but that organization is trash. You look at okay, like yeah, the Clippers have a lot of issues, but man, like their facilities are top notch. And going there and playing with Darius Garland and Kawhi Leonard, yeah, that's not the worst thing in the world for AJ DeBonsa or Tyron Stokes. So yeah, like
but it might be the worst thing in the world for a team that has legitimately tried to get better and have been rebuilding for years and years and years, and just nobody wants to go there. It's a small market. Okay, here's an example. If Giannis leaves the Bucks, and this system is put into effect, how are the Bucks ever supposed to become good again?
Well,
they're gonna need those middling picks.
and this is, and you know what? Here's where karma comes in, Daryl. What did this Bucks team do to Drew Holiday?
Magic. Magic will even out the system.
No,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
They traded Drew Holiday. By the way,
yeah, they did him dirty, man. They did him dirty.
They totally did. Drew Holiday, one of the most Hall of Fame people in the NBA, for him to come out and actively say that organization is trash for the way that they treated me and my family, I would say you're getting your comeuppance right now. You, frankly, have been, you were gifted Jabari Parker. That was a second overall pick. The draft treated you well. You hit on a 15th overall pick in Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Again, like I think that because, and you've asked me a question, so I really do want to answer honestly. In a couple of years, or in 1 year, AJ Mitchell will be a free agent. Kaysen Wallace will be a free agent. If you want to get better and you're a small market, go and overpay those guys. And so now, unfortunately, under this little communistic, system, a team like OKC, a team like San Antonio in a few years, they're not going to be able to afford 4 max players. Peyton Watson is another example, right? Peyton Watson could be a casualty of NBA math, where, if you want to go out and pay $25 to $30 million and take a risk that Peyton Watson isn't a fluky, one-hit wonder and he'll actually work out for your organization. Now you're saying, well, Peyton Watson, AJ DeBonsa, big diff. Yeah, cool. We're not barring you from drafting these players. We're just saying we're going to make it a lot less likely. We're taking your 14% odds and turning it into what is probably 8. And then we're docking you an extra lottery ball for being stupidly bad. I don't know. Personally, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
I am too. It might not sound like it. I can see a lot of devil's argument, like points that I can make. I think it is a step in the right direction. I don't think that it will solve the tanking issue completely, but it will definitely force teams to reevaluate their tanking strategies. And that's, I mean, whenever there is a policy change, as long as it is in the right direction, I'm not against it. I just think that maybe we'll see in 10 more years if the league is going to revise the lottery again because teams have figured out a way to game the system. I don't know. We'll see. We'll revisit this in 10 years.
Again, like you can't you can't completely prove intent with malpractice, right? Like if I decide
for sure.
right now, like I don't know, hypothetically, I'm just gonna dump Giannis for like a whole bunch of like a really, really bad package of players coming back and bad contracts, but I take a whole bunch of, first round picks. I mean, can you really stop me from making that trade? We couldn't stop
No.
Luka Doncic from getting traded for Anthony Davis,
just
and we
gonna say
certainly
that.
couldn't
Exactly.
stop Anthony Davis from getting traded to the Washington Wizards. We can't stop these things. And his
Nico.
name's not Nico Harrison. I was just going to say Rico Hines. Nico Harrison can walk up confidently to the podium and say, "We don't believe Luka Doncic is worth this, and we believe defense wins championships, and he can keep his job for a whole fucking year."
Well, that had a lot to do with him literally and proverbially winning the lottery.
Yes. And I mean, okay, so he was able to keep his job through that. And, it still didn't change the outcome all that much. And now neither the Lakers nor the Mavericks are going to win a championship, more than likely. I guess what I'm saying is I think teams like OKC, San Antonio, Toronto have done it the right way for the most part. And for a while now, I think Atlanta's doing it the right way, if I'm being honest. I also think Washington, to a lesser degree, is doing some very, very positive things here with Will Riley and Keyshawn George and some of their young players like Alex Sarr. Like they're getting better, like there's and moving in the right direction by adding some like actual veterans to that team, like Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum, while he was there. Adding an infrastructure, trying to get good coaches in the fold. Like this is a positive direction. What the Rockets were doing like 3 years ago, that's bad. That's bad for basketball. It's bad for Jalen Green. It's bad for everybody. What the Sixers did, with the Hinkie era Sixers, like the process Sixers, that's disgusting.
That was diabolical.
Like
It's awful.
you ruined, you probably compromised the careers of not only Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, but you also probably completely derailed the careers of guys like Michael Carter Williams, Nerlens Noel, like
Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz. Like, I mean, Markelle was a little bit after that, in fairness. Brian Colangelo drafted him. They were past the process at that point. But, like you had Jimmy Butler. You chose Tobias Harris. The fuck is that my fault? Okay. Like, and that entire process, that egregious tanking, all that intentional losing, all of that. I mean, you go back and look at those players that were on those teams and go see how many of them actually turned into serviceable players when they left. Jeremy Grant was on those process Sixers, turned into a pretty serviceable player the second he left. So it's just not a good environment. And again, I'm always left wondering, like, this is kind of my beef with the Raptors like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's just like, I really don't know who these young kids are. I don't know if Malachi Flynn would have worked under a better system, if and right now I don't have to wonder if CMB is in the right hands or in the right system or is being told the right things or being given an environment to succeed. I know he's being given an environment to succeed. And so now I can't tell you who they're going to draft 19th. I can't tell you if Elijah Martin's going to be any good. All I can tell you is we're giving them the best shot possible. And when I think about this stuff, is straight up, it's just a math thing. I don't know if it's because of my autism or whatever, but I am thinking straight up in terms of math. There is an organizational factor, and then there is a player factor, and then there's a luck factor. And I have to multiply those three numbers to produce a result. Okay. And then there's probably like some sort of unknown factor that I'm not even factoring in, like unknown that I'm not factoring in, like undisclosed injury, freakish, whatever, like some untapped potential or some sort of, oversight in analytics that we're not seeing, like with Grady and the shooting and stuff. And, all of those factors have to be multiplied. And I can't, like, of course, like, if I don't hire the right scouts, if I don't hire the right training staff, if I don't build the right facilities, if I don't invest in my facilities, if I don't bring in the right coaches, if I don't design a system that optimizes my players, what good does it do to be drafting third overall? I'm just ruining careers. And even when those players do turn into Carmelo Anthony, who's to say what Carmelo Anthony could have been had he been in a better system? I mean, I certainly did not feel like the Carmelo I saw at Syracuse versus the Carmelo I saw in the NBA for the most part. This did not feel like a successful career to me. It's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Grady's going to be the if we do end up losing on Friday or Sunday for that matter. I feel like Grady's going to end up being the punching bag for for the collective ire of the fan base. Like
Why?
Well, because these guys have been working so hard, and they needed help, and that player was supposed to be Grady on some level, and so there's going to be like this. It's so predictable, and I don't feel that way at all, by the way. And in fact, I'm not even thinking of Grady. I think Jacoby, what he's been doing is like that fills that void for me going forward. Like he is
Right.
such an interesting player. And again, I'm not dumping on Grady. Grady could still turn into something, but Jacoby, like you're not gonna like at the end of the day, you're not gonna hit on every pick. It's just the
Are
way
you
it
saying
is.
that he can still rise?
Grady?
Yes.
I'm not gonna dump him.
Sorry. I'm 5 years old. My bad.
I get it. Pause.
The South shall rise again. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was a Fresh Prince joke in case anyone missed it. Where Will Smith is trying to explain his temptations to Uncle Phil by using the Civil War. Yeah. Nobody gets my jokes at this late. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, okay, so this is I wanna veer very, very careful when I say this. There was some talk about Grady and his girlfriend. Like there's a lot of social media chatter around that stuff and how like, oh, like, he's always with his girl, he's always with his girlfriend, he's always posting his girlfriend, whatever. And it's kind of like it kind of makes you think like, does he know how close he is to the edge of his career being over in the NBA? Like, has that moment sit with him? And there's always been like this notion that the Raptors do have like this internal tough love mantra with young prospects. Like when they see a prospect is not putting in the work, they will penalize them. They will out them. They will blast them in the media, whatever. Now, thankfully, we haven't heard anything like overtly negative about Kurt Grady. We haven't heard the whole like Josh Lewenberg says Grady Dick has work ethic issues. Like, we haven't heard that. But people have always suspected that the Raptors, will do stuff like this. Like they'll talk through the media, talk through Grange and whatever. And I always heard this, like, and again, we haven't seen that much of that under Darko, but that was a lot of that was happening with Masai and Nick Nurse when like, oh, Masai flew in to have a conversation with Scotty amidst his struggles. Like that was a real article that was published, right? And yeah, so I just wonder, like, what does it say to me about the people that watch him every single day and they've taken him out of the rotation, given who else is walking into the rotation? Now, Jacoby over Grady is a no-brainer to me. I've felt this way for 2 years. I felt Jacoby was just the better player and frankly is a way better fit with what you do defensively and offensively. But that being said, can I completely ignore what Grady did in the first 20 games of last season?
Well, something that I always think about is that offseason, the 2 off seasons ago, how did Grady spend his summer? He spent it working out with Ochai Agbaji. And the two of them were paired up and they spent all summer working on each other's games. Ochai was learning the offensive side from Grady and Grady was learning the defensive side from Ochai. And now obviously we have the benefit of 2020, but coming out at the beginning of last season,
right,
both of those guys were really good.
Okay. Yeah.
I think like Grady, if this girlfriend stuff is true, I mean, I would guess that Ochai is a better defensive coach than Grady's girlfriend. Like,
Well, I mean, in fairness, so again, analytics should not be taken as gospel. We all watch the games, but I do want to post Grady's crafted profile, because last year he was a 5th percentile defender according to crafted plus minus, and this year it's a lot better. Hold on a second, pull it up. So this is Grady. We've moved all the way to 23rd percentile.
Yeah.
And deflections are way up, right? Shot quality is way up. He's just not hitting shots.
Yep.
I'll tell you right now, if this is like the floor of who he is as a basketball player, this is pretty depressing. Like, honestly. But this is better than 5th percentile defense, bro. Like, I mean, again, you can say you can say the system is not really helping him out. They have put him into ball action. They have put him into on-ball actions and given him very, very tough assignments as a developmental rep for them. So again, I would love to get some truth serum into Darko and just sit him down and be like, what are you really trying to do with this guy? Like, is this a failed experiment or is this a master stroke experiment? Once again, I continue to use all the wrong words.
I don't think it's a masterstroke experiment when AJ Lawson is playing and he's not even seeing the floor, and AJ's giving you nothing. So it's
I wouldn't say AJ's giving you nothing, but I mean, I understand your point. I think there's just sort of a non-negotiable bar with Grady, which is like, if you don't play how we want you to play, you won't play, right? And that's restrictive in a sense, but we are seeing the muscle development with him. We are seeing him get bigger, stronger, and we are seeing slight defensive improvement. We're seeing activity on the defensive end that, frankly, is encouraging. We're just seeing a complete inability to move his hips. So maybe this entire summer they get him on a strength and training program where they can just get his hips, to not be so tight, right? Because he is a fluid athlete offensively, but defensively he struggles. But you know who else struggles defensively? RJ Barrett, for the most part of this season, has struggled defensively. Jamison Battle has struggled for the most part. I think right now Grady's just not hitting shots. And again, I've mentioned this before. This is not cope. It is really hard to put on muscle and maintain your jump shot. You need to readjust all the angles and everything. Your touch becomes very, very difficult. And they're asking this guy to just get stronger because he's so skinny. And I don't know if they completely
the same thing happened to Bargnani.
Yes, the same thing did happen to Bargnani.
And they made him into a front court player, and like it completely ruined his shot. Well, not completely ruined, but it was it was difficult for him to deal with. Certainly.
Totally, man. Like yeah. We are in a barn burner here. I was very confident that Houston would extend the series today on the panel. Like, I was confident that they didn't really have an answer, quote unquote, for Amen Thompson, which sounds crazy to say because I have no idea how Amen Thompson did in this game. Oh, 4 for 14. I guess they did have an answer for him. But yeah, that all being said, like, I feel like, momentum is such a strange thing. When they found out that Luka was not going to be available for round 2, I felt like the air kind of leaves the Lakers. They've just played differently since that news came out. So, yeah. Also, Austin Reeves is back. Oof, 22 points off the bench.
Yeah.
Holy shit. 4 for 15, 34 minutes. And they still lost? Damn, that's got to be demoralizing. But honestly, like, as good as Austin Reeves is, he's not Luka Doncic. Like, no offense. So, as good as he is, you're not going to have a prayer in that second round. And this is where, like, I think your internal belief kind of comes into play here. Like, is this team like, yo, let's beat the fucking shit out of these Houston Rockets, especially if the Rockets are going to show up and actually play hard. Let's beat the Rockets so we can go out there and compete for a 25-point loss every single night against the OKC Thunder. Like, is that what we're feeling right now? Because Austin Reeves and LeBron James are not getting you past. They're not getting you close in a series against OKC. Yeah. Zigsaw Puzzle said, Rob, chill jinxed both teams. So you're saying Cavs fired up after Ingram got injured? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. Based on how they're guarding him, I don't even think they wanted him to get injured. I think they would have preferred.
Rob.
Him to play.
Hey, Rob, before I sign off, what do you think about Sixers Boston tomorrow?
Are you asking me from a betting advice perspective?
No, just
okay. Okay. I think Boston closes it out.
Really?
Me too.
Yeah. I think Joel Embiid had his game.
You don't think maybe he's turned a corner and because Vucevic can't guard him to save his life? So
no, because the Sixers had an adjustment in Game 5 where they played more drop with him. I think the Boston adjustment to that will be the knockout blow. Like they played drop and they had peel switch with him because he's so limited defensively, and they had him guarding at the level of the screen, for the previous game that he played, and he looked horrible, right? So yesterday you were able to sustain it. You did get a little bit of shooting luck, I would say, on your side. Boston went really, really cold down the stretch. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown really I think they're just going to go home, realize they let one go, and then go on the road. They're a really good road team. I understand why people think Philly will win. I'm more on the side of I think Boston will win. I'm actually quite confident Boston will win. Yeah.
I think they're going to push it to 7.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I think I would feel more comfortable with that if I trusted Joel Embiid a little bit more. Zigsaw Puzzle said, Chill picked both the Lakers and Magic today. And interestingly enough, who did I pick? I mean, internally, of course, I thought the Cavaliers would win Game 5. But externally, I cannot say that. But definitely, I very vocally picked the Detroit Pistons and the Houston Rockets. So shout outs to me, and no shout outs to Chill for that. Yeah. I'm
your previous live is still like playing in my head, the one that you did, I think, earlier today or yesterday, where like this postseason is just is there for the taking. And I know in hindsight maybe we were getting ahead of ourselves because it was such a great feeling being 2-2 dead even with the Cavs, but like they're good, they're not that good. And neither is Detroit, and neither is the Magic, and neither is New York. And I have doubts about Boston too, to be perfectly honest with you.
Mhm.
It sucks. It fucking sucks because it's like
Yeah.
what if,
Jet saying, hey, Rob, if we lose the series, does your gut tell you that Bobby will make the necessary changes to build a better roster around Scotty or CMB? Or will he use the Quickly or Ingram excuse? I mean, honestly, I don't really care what you tell people. So I don't mind if you tell people you think Ingram is the next Kawhi as long as you don't believe it. I don't care if you tell people that you think Emmanuel Quickley is the future as long as you don't believe it. I don't care if you say that Jakob Poeltl is a top 10 center as long as you don't believe it. Now, in terms of what I think he believes, I really have no idea. This will be the first offseason where it's all him, from draft to everything. I'm very curious to see what it looks like. I will tell you this. The Raptors have been a lot better over the last 2 years than they were over the previous 2 years before that. So apart from the Jakob extension, which is obviously kicking the balls and probably the biggest dark cloud hanging over this team right now, I would say they've done a pretty decent job overall. No matter how you feel about the Brandon Ingram thing, I think most people would just agree that for the most part, this has been a pretty resounding success all in all. So yeah, I think the Raptors have turned a corner in terms of their culture. I think players are happy to be here. I think, the players who are here are happy to be here. That's most important. I think this might be like one of those all-time, like 2017 through 2026 now. We're like talking 8 years where I'm like pretty confident everyone who's here actually loves being here. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, So yeah. So I mean, yeah, externally I have no idea what he'll say. Maybe he'll say Brandon Ingram is a superstar or some shit like that. Or maybe he'll say Jakob Poeltl is, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but slightly whiter and slower. Maybe he'll say some shit like that. I have no idea. But internally, I hope that they are looking at, Scotty and CMB as the future. And I think however you want to frame it, Scotty's made it inevitable now. He's left no doubt, to me at least. Like maybe for some people there's still doubt because of second half today, but to me he's left no doubt that I am ready to go and compete for championships. So put a roster around me. I think this is the loudest statement he's ever made. I think he made a statement, obviously like 2 years ago when he basically showed that he was good enough to build around. They kind of gave him like the experimental run of 30 games before they traded Pascal and OG and said, okay, go show us that you're someone worth building around. And he did. He showed you, and then you traded away his best friend, and he promptly, sulked the rest of the season and sucked and couldn't shoot anymore and just decided to work on different parts of his game. I just think Scotty is like really patient, like he knows that this has never been about who he is at 24. I think he's understood and he's bought in to the idea that this is all about what kind of roster will be around me at 26. And if I'm seeing it and you're seeing it and Daryl's seeing it, Scotty's definitely seeing it. Like he can see the mistakes. He can see the mistakes we're making. He can see, RJ's defensive effort or lack of effort. He can see Mamu's limitations, Jakob's limitations. He can see all of it. So at this point, in terms of do I trust Bobby Webster, I'm cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah. Oak Tree said, Yak is not even Bill Wennington. Ouch. I don't know who I feel bad for there, Bill Wennington or Jakob Poeltl, but okay. Anyways, any final thoughts, guys?
Do you think Jakob like redeemed some of his value just like in this last game that he just played?
I think there's an overall value add by the Raptors, kind of like, let's just say like being a decent team. Overall, because the Raptors are a good team this year, I think he gets a little bit of a value add on that basis alone. Because especially if teams want to really, really crunch the analytics, he's shown that he's healthy. And he's also shown all year that when he's good, we're way better. So it's not like he's going out there and his best games are our worst games. No, he's shown that he is the difference between us being like he's the difference between us being 55 and 45 win team. Like honestly, him being really good and him being available. That's possibly due to our lack of 7-footers outside of him. We over rely on him. Also, if you really want to frame it, he's outplayed Jared Allen for like 2 straight games. So,
yeah, on the roll, he's still good. He's still like a good player on the roll.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I would buy that. Yeah. Yeah, man.
What are we thinking of Mamu in this series?
I mean,
Sorry.
Again, as much as I would love for him to. I would
in there.
Pardon?
Yeah, sorry for the sudden left turn there, but Mamu.
I
Is he
think
hurting
he's cost himself
his contract extension?
He's cost himself some money for sure. I think he's gone from a guy who could walk to the table and ask for 10, and now he's probably a guy who can walk to the table and ask for 7 or 8. So he hasn't completely created his value. He does have value, but I think if I'm the Raptors, I can just point to his playoff production and I can say, how much, like, are you lethal enough as a shooter for me to have to pay you as a shooter? Are you good enough as a big for me to have to pay you as a stretch big? And if you're not good enough to do that, have you shown me that you're definitively good enough to have to be, a 20-minute a game guy? Again, I do want to say most players don't take minimum contracts for a reason, because it tends to historically dampen the value of your next contract, which is why you'll see teams, players will actively like go away from taking minimum contracts or anything close to minimum contracts, because they'll just be like, I'm going to bet on myself for a 1-year, $5 million deal, just so I don't have to avoid taking that minimum. He took a minimum. So Gary took a minimum too, if you remember, and he signed another minimum after that, right? Mm-hmm. So even though he exceeded the value of that minimum contract, he did not get paid like he deserved to be paid after that. I could argue, if I'm the Raptors, I could probably lowball him. I don't think the Raptors will lowball him. I think they'll offer him 18 for 3. And I think that would be a very, very good
I would like
place.
that. I would, like
I would
that.
love that contract. 18 for 3 would be great. 20 for 3 with a player option would be pushing it. I think 24 for 3 would be the absolute ridiculous limit of where I'm going. If they offer him 35 for 3 or some shit like that, like the Boucher contract, they're stupid. He's solid. He's really good. Don't get me wrong. He's good, but you really don't have to pay this player $12-13 million in today's NBA. There's no precedent for it.
Famous last words, because we know what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying this, and I'm just like, they're gonna give him 3 years, $40 million with like 6 player options, one expiring every season. You know, like, I don't know. They'll fluff his pillows too while they're at it. Like this front office does lack balls when it comes to contracts and stuff. But I do realize how much of that was really Masai and how much of it was Bobby, right? Fred VanVleet had a podcast recently where he talked about how Masai always paid his guys and how he would be like, it's not my money. I wonder if Bobby thinks differently. I find it very hard to believe that he doesn't. So if we believe that Jakob final extension was a Masai promise, okay, I'm just gonna assume that it was, because it makes me feel better that it was Masai and not Bobby. And this is something the Red Salute said as well. I have a lot of overlaps in my thinking with Bobby Webster. I don't know why, but when he said, other than the whole like Kawhi Leonard, Brandon Ingram comparison, I do see his perspective and some of the smugness and, you know, some of the way that he thinks about analytics and stuff. Even the Kawhi thing, you know, how he very unapologetically and very unemotionally wanted to trade for Kawhi, and it was Masai who needed to be cajoled and sort of convinced. I would have probably felt the same way he would have felt in that moment. So, although, of course, after the trade, I was like, oh my God, what if he doesn't report? Blah, blah, blah. So I was very fearful. All of this to say, I wonder if he thinks about things a little bit more rationally, money-wise.
I bet he does. I mean, doesn't he have a finance background?
Not really. Well,
I think he has a business background. I don't know if he has a finance background.
I see. Well, even so, as a business background, I thought it was. I could be wrong. Actually, I don't know why I said that. I have this impression.
As much as I shit on him during the season, I think he's completely redeemed by CMB. That's how good he is, CMB. Like, I knew he was potentially a good pick. I wanted Derek Queen at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Boyles was going to be this.
I did not want Derek Queen. I wanted Carter Bryant. If I didn't get Carter Bryant, I would have gone with Kaman or him. Can
you imagine if Noah Asenge had come in here and had a good workout in that secret workout, we could have had him instead.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, I did that entire draft live, and I had this like little note on my keyboard the entire live, and it said, if they pick Noah Asenge, don't swear. Because I've gone viral for so many of my draft reactions. Like, I dip my head when we pick Grady and stuff, and then everyone says like he's such a hater, he hates the young players, he only, like, it's kind of sad. Like, today I was looking at some players' choice comments, and there was this guy who used to be a really big part of our community, Medved Ted. I'm sure everyone has seen his, you know, comments on here. And he said, I used to be a part of that community, but I realized that he only cares about Scotty, and he's a Scotty fan first and a Raptors fan second. And I was like, man, that kind of hurt. I have to say, like, that was disappointing to see somebody say that. I really don't feel that way. I maybe have an image problem that I need to work on, but like, I really don't feel that way at all. Been a Raptor fan since before Scotty was born, and I support the players who are good on this team and good for this team. And Scotty is good for his teammates. So supporting Scotty is like, it's a little bit like all the dinosaurs drink at the lake, so you support the lake. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like,
interesting analogy.
Like, it's like supporting the tree that feeds the whole village. It doesn't mean you're obsessed with trees. It means you care about the village, you know? Like, Scotty is the tree that feeds the entire village to me. So, supporting his vision when Nick Nurse is the counterpoint to that vision, yeah, I pick Scotty because I know that again, this is just the way my brain works. It's like, I know that if he's in charge of your locker room and your culture, that things are going to go better in terms of winning for everybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a player first mindset about that stuff. But yeah, that was disappointing to see that. So yeah, so I had this thing like, don't crash out if Noah Sangay is the pick, because I could understand why the Raptors would do that. Do you know every analytic says he's like the fastest player in the league this year? That's interesting. He is the fastest player in the league. Still would have hated to pick him because like we are seeing physicality win in the NBA, and that guy is 14 years away from being physically ready to play in the NBA. He's so skinny. So I'm not saying he couldn't be a good role player, but like at the 9th overall pick, I really don't want to pick a role player. So that's why I was like, some people will message me and be like, oh, what do you think of this player? What do you think of that player? Like, I think someone messaged me the other day. Lachlan messaged me and he's like, what do you think of Dame Sarr? This looks like Carter Bryant to me. I disagree. I think Carter has actual like more upside than just 3-and-D. But like to pick a 3-and-D guy who can't be more than 3-and-D at 9, I think that's a mistake. Like you're still early enough in the draft that you need to be thinking about like upside. Payman Mogini said, can we go for Norman Powell this offseason?
Somebody got to go then. RJ or Ingram got to go if they're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think Tyler Hero's going to be available.
That's $30 million. Do you want him?
Let's save that conversation for after Friday. Anyway, Rob, I'm out of here, brother.
Yep. All right, peace, man. Daryl, any final words?
Yeah. No, I'm just enjoying the conversation. I mean, win or lose, is still good to talk about the Raptors and the whole NBA in general. Yeah,
it is good.
I don't really have anything specific. Sure. I could continue talking for the rest of the day, but I mean, you probably have better things to do.
I don't necessarily have better things to do. B-Matt Fisher, as I said, shout outs to Brian, shout outs to Scotty. Dang, they gave us one. Do you want to get to a couple of these super chats? Sully Sal said, don't forget, we didn't have Quickly, lost Ingram, and Scotty was hurt, and we were still in striking distance. We will be good guys. Okay, awesome. I agree with that 100%. The sentiment is there. It sounds a little bit like copium. I know, it sounds a little bit like, oh, we were close. But that's how basketball is measured. Like, were you in the game? We led for 56% of a game that we inevitably lost down the stretch. And as Darko says, you learn to practice, you learn to play, you learn to win. We're learning how to win in the playoffs. That's hard. And we've already got 2 wins. Lance Scott, 9851, said, call me crazy, but we're narrowing the gap. We win game 6 at home and momentum carries us through. Down to the battle of Scotty Barnes.
Better than Scott Foster.
Better than Scott Foster.
He's the better Scott.
Oh, Scotty Barnes versus Foster. Oh, I get it. That's cool. That's interesting. I guess the Scott Barnes versus Scott Foster.
Today Cleveland really was Scotland, but wrong Scott.
Yeah, it really was. Fuck. Yeah. I mean, I had an alternative graphic ready in case we won. You want to see it?
Yeah. Toss it up.
This was my graphic in case we won.
Yeah.
And alas, we did not. So, yeah. Matt Raps Beat said, should I call in or is it over? Yeah, you can call in. We can talk for another 5 minutes. I mean, it's 1:05 over here. What time is it over there? It's like in the afternoon.
It's 1:05. Right? It's 1:05 p.m.
It's
here.
exactly 12.
12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, game 6 determines everything. That goes without saying. I don't want to see the Raptors lose at home. That would suck. I don't want to see them lose at home. But, if Ingram is hurt, if the team is hurt, if Scotty's not going right, knowing how much harder the Raptors have had to work in this series, like they've outworked that team 200%. Okay. They're not better than that team. They're not better than that team, but they have more grit, more toughness, and they've worked harder than that team. And that has brought them to 3-2. So I don't know. There's something sweet about it for sure. There has to be something sweet about it. Like again, we were talking about this in the panel today, and like people just assume the talent carries you through the playoffs. It rarely ever does. Sacrifice and grit carries you through the playoffs. Talent helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. Are there any other series
think-
that go ahead?
Okay. I was going to say that I think that fatigue, like the Raptors when they play fatigued, tend to not be able to hit any of their shots. So that's going to be an issue. I really wish that there was a 2-day break between these games 5 and 6, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. I think that will actually that could be the deciding factor right there, is the one extra day off.
Yeah. I think it's been very beneficial to Scotty, especially like we've seen like the explosiveness and the bounce he's had in his legs, that he's been able to have those like games off or days off in the middle. And I just think the Raptors need to do a better job of like, if you're going to keep asking this guy to do what he does on both ends, then you have to think about both ends the way that they think about both ends on football. So if he's
Yeah.
playing 35 minutes of balls to the wall offense and defense, then I need you to consider that like a 70 minutes. So even if you're not going 70 minutes, we're gonna multiply it by a factor of like at least 1.25 to 1.4 to keep it dead even with what RJ does or what Ingram does, right? And similarly, CMB, right? Like guys like OG always got injured. Why? Look at the workload.
You're doing too much. Exactly.
Exactly. So, if you're going to play super physical, this is just a matter of like odds. At some point, you're going to crash into something, you're going to hit something. And, this is why guys who shoot jump shots and don't play defense have long careers. It's a lot less taxing on your body. Vince Carter slowly transitioned to a guy who shot jump shots and did not, that's kind of like that kind of makes LeBron's longevity even more impressive, if we're being honest.
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like at some point, like even Michael Jordan had to transition away from like the crash test dummy defense, offense, and just be a lot smarter. And how many times today did we see Scotty impact the game defensively without barely moving 2 feet?
Yep.
He was able to just
That was
get his
quick,
arms
too.
up. Exactly. He was able to get his arms up, be catalyst for transition offense. Like he was able to do a lot of stuff. He didn't have, but I'm tired of using my star player as a workhorse, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody else should be the workhorse. And that's not disrespect to anybody who ends up being the workhorse for a team, but like we all know that there are hustle guys or dirty work guys, and they come in and they give you 5-6 minutes of contained energy, and then they go to the bench until their next rep, right? To use a star player like a hustle big is kind of insane to me. So it might be winning the Raptors games, but it's actually costing them development down the stretch, in my opinion. Like in theory, if you had, again, kept OG, gotten something like OG, or let's just say instead of Brandon Ingram, you get Herb Jones in here, right? And then you maximize Scotty's offensive load as opposed to his defensive load, and you get him to average 25, 26 points per game. Okay, maybe you're not a 46 win team. Maybe you're a 43 win team. Matt Rapp beats us on. Matt Rapp, what's up? We got 4 minutes. What is up,
Hey
man?
man, what's up?
I'm gonna step out. I'll let you guys chat. But anyway,
All right, Daryl, take care, man.
Hey,
Peace.
cool, Daryl. I love your talks, Daryl, too. You always come
Oh,
in.
thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem,
It's
man.
great to talk about the Raptors.
Yeah, love it.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
Yeah, good night. Yeah, man, not much for me tonight, Pen. Just I just wanted to say is I honestly think the Cavaliers got lucky today. I didn't watch your stream today, so I don't really know what you said, but they got lucky, man. We were injured, we were beat up, and we still found a way to scrap through the game. And then just in that fourth, the game really slipped away from us. But I really feel like we really controlled the game. We did well. and I'm really proud of the guys. Even if whatever happens in the series, you've been saying it since game one. Even if we lose the series, we're still doing amazing, and we're still showcasing our young talent: CMB, Jacoby, Scotty, even RJ. He's only 25, so
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We everything you said was covered earlier in the show for sure. That's how I feel as well. What do you think happens in game 6 before we get out of here?
I was the Raptors in Game 7 guy from like the jump. I don't have to
Okay.
pull out the receipts. I think you remember me, but
Yeah. You
yeah.
did say that. Okay, so Raptors in
Yeah,
7.
yeah. Because I don't think any team's gonna lose a game at home until
Okay.
the end. And I think Raptors just have more grit and more determination and scrappiness. So that game 7, especially with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden leading that team, I really have a lot of faith in our young guys to just come up and just do something crazy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I certainly think the Raptors will bring their best fight on Friday. This is certainly a team that doesn't strike me as a team that's about to quit on themselves. A lot is playing against the Raptors. I think a lot of it is going to come down to how healthy Scotty is and how healthy Brandon Ingram is. Because if Brandon Ingram is not healthy, that just changes the game plan and allows them to really, really play off of the Raptors shooters and be like, okay, we're just going to stop Scotty and we're going to let RJ do whatever he wants. And we're going to let Jamal Shed take as many jump shots as he wants. And I think in the second half of today's game, the Raptors sort of played into that, where Scotty was willing to just let Jacoby and Sandro and CMB, like, you're not going to win game 6 or game 7 if your highest shot takers are like Jamal Shed and, the right guys have to take the shots. But with Scotty hurt, like, I'd rather Jamal Shed go 4 for 10 than Scotty go 0 for 10, you know?
I
So,
agree.
yeah, Scotty needs to find, a little burst of energy here. And then hopefully, you know, we can just get out of this series without getting any more injuries. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm down to like 1 or 2 minutes, but I just want to say like Brandon Ingram, even though he hasn't played well this series, we just need his gravity on the court. I think just the fact that you can't leave him open, you got to guard him, and he gets doubled all the time, it really contributes to what RJ Barrett's doing, getting free, kind of as the third scoring option, and it really
Sure.
makes everybody's life a lot easier. So
Yeah,
I'm
life
just
was a lot
looking,
harder without him, and I'm glad that people
yeah,
got to see that,
for
Um,
sure.
yeah. To all the people who are like, "No, RJ can carry an offense." Like, no offense. No, he can't.
Yeah, no,
Because
I'm a RJ guy too, and I know we
yeah,
need Brandon Ingram to open him up. Yeah,
of course. When
yeah,
Scotty and BI are going and there's even reasonable scoring on the reasonable shooting on the wings or above the break or a roll threat or a finishing threat, that is where RJ Barrett will thrive and get an efficient 25. But if all those conditions do not exist, like, it's going to be really, really hard. Um, Pepperjack saying, "We haven't seen this Raptors team with their backs against the wall. Let's take both 6 and 7." Absolutely. You're going to have to beat this team. As I said, like, I said this about the Lakers and the Rockets as well. Like, Ime Udoka's a tough guy. Amen Thompson's a tough guy. Like, sometimes teams just kind of show you, like, maybe they're not the most talented, but they have a lot of grit and a lot of toughness. And I'm just looking at the Raptors like the same way. Like, okay, yeah, you probably shouldn't favor them to win game 6 or game 7. And they probably won't be favored to win game 6 or game 7 given their injury luck right now. But I just get this feeling, and again, it's just a feeling, that this team is going to be really hard to beat with the backs against the
and
wall.
I
So, yeah.
completely agree, especially with CMB out there playing defense the way he's playing defense.
Yeah, it's
Um,
your seasons on the line.
yeah,
Like it's
exactly.
balls to the
Yeah,
wall effort. And, like, yeah, the talent gap is enormous between these two teams, but there's also a care factor and a grit factor, as you mentioned, and a home crowd factor. I just hope the crowd at Scotiabank is not nervous and just appreciative. I think excited and appreciative would be a good energy. Nervous, pins and needles the whole game, that would be bad energy. So I hope the crowd brings it. I hope Scotty brings it, and I hope the Raptors bring it. Any
yeah.
final thoughts?
Final thought. Yeah, final thought for me. Um, I just really liked how we came out. I really liked our body language more than the Caps body language
Sure.
tonight.
Mhm.
I think that we play a little bit harder than them, but like it always goes. Sometimes the talent, sometimes guys get lucky. And whenever Harden and Mitchell in Cleveland, they get lucky with some circus shots. And I just don't think that's necessarily sustainable in a really grime out game 7. So I'm really optimistic about what the Raptors can do. And I think that's all I got to say.
All right. Peace, man. Thanks a lot for calling him. Alrighty. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody who sent super chats. Appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for hanging with us for 3 hours. If this live was a little bit of a bummer, is because I am processing the fact that, you know, I really do believe the Raptors should have won this game. I believe the Raptors deserve to win this game. It's different when your team doesn't show up. I guess it's a different level of pain. Like when your team doesn't show up and your team doesn't play well. It's different. It's a different type of pain when your team does play well and you feel like something was taken from you by things that felt like a little bit outside your control, right? So, you had your fan hat on. Yeah, I mean, like don't call it cope. We were up 7, and I was bitching and complaining about injuries and the refs. This is not like one of those like the refs are fine until we lose, and then suddenly the refs are terrible. No, I said the refs were terrible in the first half. We were up. I said the refs were terrible in the third quarter. We were up, and I continued to say the refs are terrible after the game. The injury thing at halftime, I was saying Scotty being injured is going to hurt you, and he's not going to have a good first half, good second half, and that's kind of just my read on watching Scotty over the last few years. Like, there's a lot of what ifism, with his first playoff run where I think like he was starting to scratch the surface of what he could have done with a little bit more bounce in that first game. And then he goes down with that injury and we never really got to see it. And the second time was that stupid, Chicago game. And then, his whole team misses a whole bunch of free throws. And I don't even think he played badly. I think he had 18 points in that game. But he certainly, had he had control of the offense, I think he would have got you through that game. He was one of the few Raptors who didn't completely crater from the line in that game. But that felt like, maybe that was going to be a really great playoff explosion for him. So now it was nice to see him do this, but I just want to see him finish it out, because I don't want to be talking about this run like 3 years from now and being like, you remember that time when the Raptors were tied 2-2 and they had him down bad in game 5 and then Scotty got hurt? Like, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do that like forever and ever, because I found like for the last 3 years, I've been saying like, you remember in game 1 before Joel Embiid stomped his foot? I don't want to do that. Like, you remember in game 5 before Thomas Bryant hurt his quad? Like, I don't want to do that shit again. So I'm hoping that, because it wasn't serious. I mean, obviously it wasn't serious because he didn't have to like go to the locker room. This is probably just something you manage it, you sleep, hopefully you feel better. He's really young. That helps, being 24 helps, so yeah, and hopefully the NBA will be invested in a game 7. So maybe, if we can make enough of a stink tomorrow about some of the calls, because I think it was pretty egregious how much the whistle was slanted in their favor. Hopefully the league will even out the whistle a little bit in game 6, give the Raptors a chance. And then in game 7, it's really just, let's play even and let's play bully ball, prison ball, and let's see who wins. So yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Hopefully, Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes are able to go and are healthy for game 6, because I don't want to see RJ solo star minutes and then have him go 6 for 22 and the whole fan base rips him apart, because it's really not his fault. Salute to RJ Barrett. Salute to Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, CMB, Sandro, this whole team, literally, and Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes and everybody. This is a really cool team. I love that I get to cover this team, for sure. I'll talk to y'all later. Please like this video on your way out. It would go very, very far, and I very much appreciate it. Peace.